Video Game Book Club podcast. Today we're wrapping up our discussion on Detroit Become Human. I'm your host Marcus, and joining me today as always are the homies. First off we have Greg.
What up?
Next we got Dante.
What's good?
And last but not least we got the homie Trevor.
What's going on?
So picking up where we left off, I believe we talked about the first 15 chapters, if I'm not mistaken. So I think we left off, with Kara. She got busted potentially by Connor, so she was on the run, and I think all of our games had her running across the highway. Connor was in pursuit, him and Hank. So at his ending chapter was him deciding if he wanted to actually disobey Hank, who said don't go across the highway. And I think all of us obeyed Hank and didn't do that, right?
Yeah.
And then with Marcus, he had just gotten the clues to where to find Jericho, and he just arrives at the Jericho ship, I believe, is where we leave off with his character. So let's pick up with Kara first. So, I believe, like I said, her and Alice are on the run. They just, cross the highway to escape Connor. I believe at this point they are trying to leave the country, or trying to find people that will help them. And in our games, I know, Trevor, you said Ralph gave you an address in your game?
Yeah, I believe he was the one who told me about Zlatko.
Yeah, and then in my game, since I didn't meet Ralph, it was a street working, like a street cleaner android told me about Zlatko's place. So you're set off to his place, and you get to his house, and you meet Zlatko, and he's this guy. He seems really warm. He has this nice house, and he has this android, Luther, that's like his servant. But he basically is like, yeah, come follow me to my basement, and I'll help you remove your tracker, so that way, people can't track you. Even though you've gone deviant, you can still be tracked. And once we remove this tracker, then they can't find you. So he straps you up, and that's when I guess the table is turned, and he's like, actually, this is what we're going to do. And you find out that this dude is actually going to try to reset you, and he's like this weirdo that likes to experiment on androids? Is that like what he's doing?
Yeah, I guess.
I have written down in my notes, he's Sid Vicious from Toy Story.
I was just about to make that comparison.
Yeah, so he has a whole bunch of different androids that he's dismembered.
Repurposing, I guess?
They're just these freaky looking androids, they don't have arms, or they have a different thing attached to them. It's really weird, and he's just...
Was he collecting deviants exclusively, or...
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because I'm starting to think that he was, trying to figure out the essence of what makes a deviant, or... I mean, it's been a long time since I played the game, but I remember he had some type of just twist on the androids he was collecting.
And I guess it was only deviants, right? Because people were giving that address up to him, or giving that address out, right?
Yeah, I could see it as two different things. It's either they don't know any better, somebody's like, oh, I'm going to go to this place, and that's the last they heard of them. So they're like, oh, well, I heard about this address. Or they're, on the payroll, and it's just like, hey, man, I'll spare you if you send people to me. You know what I'm saying? So I could see it going either way.
That makes sense.
But it was crazy because you go in this house, and he has a super nice house, and it's just him and this, which throws me off. It's this Luther, his manservant, I guess, is a big black android, super big, and so I got heavy Get Out vibes. The dude that was running in Get Out, that's Luther to me in this game. He's like just a big quiet black dude, black android, and like it's a really creepy vibe. Like going to his basement, it's like a rape dungeon, damn near. And yeah, he basically after he
Sorry.
Go ahead.
What was he planning on doing with Alice?
I think he was going to experiment on her. Well,
did he even? Because I don't think they even know at that point.
Yeah. I don't know actually. Like,
yeah, because he was just trying to wipe her memory, and then I want to say in my game he may have said something about selling her or like repurposing her.
Repurposing.
But we're talking about Alice, not Kara.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I completely forgot.
It was just something to think about. I didn't know if there was a clearer answer or not.
I don't remember. But yeah, this is one of the parts where we were talking before we started recording, where it was like, man, like you mess up and then you kind of think like, oh, should I restart because I didn't get the outcome that I wanted? And so Zlatko, he's wiping your memory, and I got my memory wiped. So
yeah, it happened to me too.
That can happen?
Yeah. So I got my memory wiped as Kara. And
so you guys were able to... Because I'm trying to remember what leads to that anyway.
I'm trying to think about what the game is like after that.
Well, so with Kara, if you get your memory wiped, then you have to, like, as you're going through the world, you're getting clues to, like, re-bring up what's going on. So, like, you run into an Alice in Wonderland book, and you're like, Alice, that name sounds familiar, and, like, things like that. And you end up, like, remembering and, like, continuing on as the Kara that you know.
That's freaking fascinating. I didn't even think that you could fail that part.
Yeah, I didn't think... Dude, I didn't understand, like...
It was the same thing with me, right? Like, I couldn't figure out how to, like, get her, like, off of that thing.
Not in time. I didn't, you know, so...
Yeah, I saw the prompt at the very last second. And
so you got wiped too?
So stupid. Yeah.
Because you're just like staring forward, and you're like, okay, cool.
It's basically
all three of you got wiped.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like that scene from Life is Strange. Yeah, when you're in the dark room.
Jeffersons.
Man, I was just like,
you always
I don't
look
wanna
for
do
the
this.
leg stuff first.
Yeah, you look down, and then I like at the very last second, I saw the timer going out. And then I finally saw the prompt.
Yeah, that's how it was for me. I did the left one, the left arm, and that did nothing. So, like, I wasted time. Like, I'd already wasted time just staring straight ahead. Then I did the left arm one, which you couldn't do anything. So then when I started doing the right arm one, then the time ran out. And I was like, tight. Cool. I failed. So I'm glad I'm not the only one. But you end up encountering... Zlatko upstairs. He's so actually, yeah, Dante, do you remember what happens? Because for us, we're basically like a secondary servant for Zlatko at this point. So
I'm trying to process what this game would be like under those circumstances. Like, so you guys didn't have to rescue Alice and get out of there?
No, so we did, but the thing is, so when we went upstairs, it's because he called us upstairs, and then so we go into the room and we see that he's performing surgery on an android in the room, and he asked us to go get something from the other room, so we have to go get something for him. We drop it off for him, then he wants you to leave the room, and from then on you can start getting clues to get your memory back.
If I remember right, there's like a timer going on while you're doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then from there, once you remember who you are and what your goal is, then you have to save Alice. But I think it's like a 5-minute timer to get your memory back and save Alice.
So do you kind of remember everything by the end of this chapter under those circumstances, or? Yeah.
Like once you, it's just like an extra like hurdle. Like it's not as different as you think, you know.
Okay, yeah, the way you made it sounded like multiple chapters. You had to find stuff.
No, that would have been cool, but that would have been like an entirely different
Yeah, that would have been a lot of work.
DLC.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna pay for this?
Yeah, but from what I remember, pretty much I get loose. I don't get my memory wiped, and I just kind of stealthily make my way upstairs to find Alice, and then us two kind of sneak out of the house.
Did you not have any of the QuickTime events?
So there was a lot of hiding. Did you guys have hiding?
Oh, I guess
around
you
the
didn't get
house?
detected.
Yeah, you didn't
I
get
definitely
detected?
got caught.
No, I
within,
didn't
like the
get
first.
detected either. Jesus.
I got
Yeah.
caught right. I got in the armoire. And I got caught right away.
Yeah, I got caught pretty quick.
Yeah, I got in the armoire too, and I thought he had left the room.
Same.
I was pretty sure he left the room, and as soon as I exited open up the door.
He's standing in front of it,
Yeah.
right?
Did you guys have the interaction with the android in the tub?
No.
Yeah.
I did.
Well,
yeah.
actually, I don't think I did.
He was like an android. He was like, follow, listen to so and so, or you shouldn't be doing this, or something like that.
Maybe that happened. I can't remember.
Pretty much, they give you a choice to either let this android live or kill him because he might rat you out.
Oh, I didn't kill him. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't kill him either, but I'm pretty sure that was an option.
The only thing I did was unleash or uncage the android polar bear.
Was that an android polar bear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
I did let him go though. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
That
he
dude
helped
deserved it.
out. But then, so this whole part for us, we're getting attacked by Zlatko and trying to run away from him. And so there's a whole bunch of QuickTime events, and I goofed. I messed up at that part a bunch. And I think you end up escaping or going outside, and he chases you outside or something, and then I don't forgot what happens, but he wants Luther to do something, kill you or something like that, and Luther disobeys him and doesn't do it, and then he turns around and sees it's just like in Toy Story, dude gets overrun by all his freaky
Creations.
Android mutant zombie.
Yeah, mutant androids, and he gets killed by them, and then at that point, I think you get the option to have Luther join you or not, and I think you get the option.
I don't think anybody would turn him down, so it's hard to say.
Yeah. So at that point, he joins up the party, and then now it's you, Alice, and Luther, and then
Just a quick aside.
Yeah.
This is probably my favorite chapter. What did you guys think about it? I mean, you guys had a completely different experience than I did, apparently.
This is a strong chapter. I think this is definitely probably my favorite Kara chapter for sure. Well, actually, this one or the one where you got to get the hotel room. Those two are probably my two favorites. Or not, not the hotel, but find a place to sleep.
Right.
Some of us didn't need a hotel. We
Some of us didn't
had
want to
Ralph.
And yeah, some of us didn't want to meet Ralph. So then at this point, I think. So actually, the reason why Luther joins your party is because he tells you oh, I know somebody that helps androids escape to Canada, and we can live free there because they're a non-android place, society or whatever. So that's their plan, is to escape to Canada. So the next chapter, they're all riding together in Zlatko's stolen car, and they're riding through a snowstorm, and the car ends up breaking down, and they gotta find shelter, and you end up breaking down right outside of a amusement park on the side of the road, really abandoned amusement park. So you're trying to find a suitable place in this amusement park to find shelter for Alice, so that way she doesn't freeze. And it's pretty creepy here. And you guys end up getting into a abandoned restaurant or something. They have pub or whatever, and you guys get a fire going for Alice and get her all nice and cozy, and then you get the room gets or broken into. The place you're in gets broken into by these these androids. And how did you guys react to these guys?
I'm trying to think back.
Well, when I met that first one, like on the side, like when you're walking looking for shelter, there's one that kind of like malfunctions, and that one like really did creep me out.
Yep.
And I was like, nah, let's not stay here, because there's some deviants. But then after you find shelter, and they break in, you know, I'm looking for the strap. Like,
did you shoot at him?
No. I think I left it in the bag, but I was hoping Luther knew how to use it.
He knows how to use these hands.
Yeah, I'm looking back at mine, and I see it just says it protected Alice, and then a question instead of like firing a warning shot.
Same. I want to know what that interaction would be like if you had fired a warning shot. So we all did you question too, Dante? Do you remember?
I'm pretty sure I questioned. I didn't do anything.
Okay, so yeah, they basically, you're like, we're one of you guys, and you're like, oh well, we haven't seen anybody here in forever. Let's show you around, and they take Alice to, and I have in my notes, the wackest amusement park ride, the merry-go-round. And yeah, so she's like happy because she's riding a merry-go-round by herself, and it's lit up, and it's snowy, and it's just like, I guess, a pretty scene, and he has like 11 androids just staring at her, smiling. It's kind of weird, but that's kind of how the chapter ends.
All doing their idle animations.
Right? Just default smile. And then, you know what? I take that back, Dante. This chapter we're about to talk about is actually this is another one of those good. This is another good chapter. The Midnight Train.
It is pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah. So. Kara got some strong chapters. Let's just say that she has some good chapters. So Kara, Alice, and Luther, they continue further along, and they get to Rose's place, who I guess is the person that Luther has heard helps androids escape to Canada. She is a black lady with a wagon, according to Trevor.
I seriously want to know who was the character designer, because I mean they went into detail.
He said, "No, we got to make her, like a real one."
I will say that I was happy that they actually added like a more heavy set character instead of like the default. If you look at game design in general, like game design has this thing about, most of our characters are very attractive and they're skinny, and because we don't want to do a lot of extra work on the model, they all kind of fit into like 1, 2, or 3 body sets. This character, you can tell like they took their time, developing her.
What do you say like that?
I knew that was going to happen when I said it, but I had to still go through with it.
He said God took his time when he made you.
The assets were right. So she definitely looks like a more realistic depiction of, like, maybe the most realistic depiction of a person that you would see. She's a black lady that lives, I guess, with her son, who looks like he's teenage, maybe a little bit older. And so they live and help androids escape to Canada. And it was kind of a weird situation because the way it seemed like her husband had recently passed away. I don't remember what the reason was, but
the kid hates androids, and I can't remember the specifics.
I think it was mostly had to do with the death of his dad. I thought I had a feeling that it was like his mom was like this, and he was raised in a house like this, and he was fine with it until the death of his dad, and now he didn't want to risk doing things because he didn't want his mom to die. That was the vibe I was getting, but maybe I'm wrong. But he definitely had a negative attitude towards androids. But Rose fixes she fixes Alice a plate.
Yes, ma'am.
And you get to talk to her for a little bit. You do a little snooping, or you find out that they have a laundry room with another crew of deviant androids, and I guess it was a black android and a white black male android and a white female android, and I guess they were in love, and she died, so he was pretty sad about that. And then I think shortly after that, she's like, because she's on the fence about helping you guys out, because she's just kind of like, man, it's a big risk. There's something going on in the story that like androids are having to be in hiding, and so they're rounding up androids, and it's not a good look to have androids around you. You're going to get in trouble if you have androids in your presence. And the most the funkiest thing, it was like you go to sit down at the table to talk to Rose, and it's just, this rubbed me the wrong way. And I don't know if it rubbed you guys that way either, but like, you got Luther's with you, Rose and her son are black. One of the deviant androids that in her laundry room is black, and then she has to explain to Alice, or excuse me, to Kara. She's like, my people have gone through something very similar to this, and like, it seemed like it was just shoehorned in. Like, it was like, yeah, I can relate to you on a personal level because I'm black. And it just seemed like heavy-handed the way they delivered that line, because there was like no... It felt like it was there for the player.
I mean, she is on the Underground Railroad.
I mean...
So I was about to say... Like, we really... Like, that was the first thing I was like, this kind of, like Harriet Tubman, like, I guess, right? Like, is this really what we're doing?
Yeah,
it's super heavy-handed. There's no denying that.
But I guess that's David Cage games in general, right?
But like, I mean, like, and we'll talk about it more because it's even more prevalent in another character's story. But like, they really beat over the head, like, treating, like, I don't know. It's just, maybe it's the time that the game came out, and it was just like, oh well, this is really, there's a lot of current things going on that I feel like they just ripped from the headlines and put in this game. And it was just really weird, because I feel like it was like, how can we make sure that people know we're trying to say something with this game, but we're not really saying anything, but because we have these visuals or these statements in this game, then it's going to make it seem like there's more gravity and more weight to it than there actually is. And we can still be on the fence about this stuff. And this one is like, it's minor. Like, it's not as big of a deal as some of the later stuff, but it just was like, man, like, this seems only here to, like, for the player. It, like, because I was thinking, I was like, do androids know the history of civilization? That was a question I wrote down. Because then, like, if they...
Like, I think they know the, let me try to make these words correct. They know the denotation, but not the connotation, if I had to guess. Like, they have the quote-unquote literal understanding, like, all of the textbooks are in their brain, but they don't have the empathetical understanding, if that makes any sense.
But they're deviant, so, I mean...
Well, I mean, they still have the same information, and it's like, they haven't really had to think about it until recently.
But that's what I was wondering, was like, okay, so her saying this, like, is like, I can relate to you on this level because my ancestors or whatever have gone through this, but like, I don't know, like, is that enough? I mean, it's an android, but like, is that enough to be like, the android's like, okay, cool, this person is gonna help me? Or is it like, no, go on, tell me more about your situation, you know, like...
Well, you gotta remember, like, they just got this empathy patch, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
So, this whole...
Humans?
I mean, we're still working on that. But, what was I about to say? The whole concept of, oh, well, let me not try to min-max everything as my, like, input-output is relatively new for them. So, like, on one hand, yes, I think it's definitely heavy-handed and definitely not the best way of doing things. But on the other, I can kind of get what they were going for.
I think it's like, it's just like, it doesn't seem natural. It doesn't seem like it actually is something that she would say in that situation. It seems like it's solely there for the player. And it kind of just takes me out of being immersed in this world where it's like, yeah, I'm already drawing the parallels, dog. You don't need to say it, you know? Or like, it's kind of how, I don't know. It was just kind of like, this is here for white people. It's basically like
yeah.
It's like,
I think it was necessary for them to add a layer of that. Not necessarily as much as they did, but because this is such a diverse game, you know, I think they couldn't go through the entire game without at least making some kind of nod towards it.
Yeah, it just was really weird because it's like, here's a black, like, I guess too, this is the first black human you've run into, so it's not like she's gonna get that from black androids. But then, like, it also makes me think, like, it made me feel even more like questioning myself about the androids, because it's like, she's around 2 black androids and 2 black humans, but humans are the only ones that can give her, or black humans are the only ones that can give her this knowledge. So like it's a little bit hard to see the other 2 androids as humans when they can't give her this knowledge. That it's like, pretty much everybody knows this, but like, these 2 guys can't tell this to her. And it was really weird, like, interesting to me, where it's like, yeah, these 2 androids are black in appearance, but really, they're just the android race. Like, it's really interesting. It was really interesting to me.
Now I'm just imagining this giant race of androids that have culture, like...
It's one culture. It's like, there's no culture.
No, but I'm saying, like, your theoretical android race with, like, every, you know, if it's a black android, it has the black...
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to think about, but I don't... How would that work?
No. What I'm saying is basically, it's like, even though they're outwardly appearing as one thing, they are not that thing. They're, you know, it's an android, and all androids, right, no matter the race, no matter, you know, they all are the same. They have the same quote unquote culture. So it's just really interesting because outwardly, I'm like, oh yeah, she's surrounded by 4 black characters, but then really it's like 2 black humans and 2 androids that are black, you know? And it was just really interesting because it was just like, oh, like, if those dudes took out that chip in their, you know, in their forehead or, you know, their temple, then you couldn't tell them apart until you started talking to them. And then I started thinking, like, man, there are people like that in real life. It just, you know, it just made me think. I just paused the game and thought for a while. Yeah, sorry for that tangent. But then you end up meeting... Okay, yeah, so you have Luther take Alice away, and Rose is like, you know what? I'll be right back. I'm gonna go check on something. And then she leaves, and then you're talking to her son, I forgot her son's name off the top of my head. Do you guys remember Rose's? That sounds right. And so you're talking to him and just getting the feel for him. He wants you to leave, and then you're talking to him, and then Luther's like, "Oh, there's a cop coming," and sure enough, there's a cop knocking on the door. So then you're like, you have to tell Luther where to take Alice to hide, and then you're talking to Adam, and you're like, "Yo, don't rat us out, blah blah this, blah blah that. Just calm down," because basically, him and his mom, him and Rose will they'll get in trouble for having all these androids here. So even if he doesn't like them, he needs to help them in order to save him and his mom's behind as well. And so you send Luther and Alice off, and then you open the door for the cop, and he invites himself in, and then he invites himself to start snooping through things. And actually, I should say too, before he comes in, you get the opportunity to do a quick once-over, like a minute once-over around the house to try to hide any evidence of android's presence being in this house. And I think there's 5 things that you got to hide, and within that minute, and then he comes in and he starts snooping around, and I guess this is
it still gives you time to hide stuff.
Because you offer to get him some coffee, and then that gives you a little bit more time to put some stuff away or whatever. And I guess this is that system that you guys had with Ralph, right, Trevor?
Not necessarily. That was more of just a hot and cold type thing. Mm-hmm. But this was I don't know, it seemed like if he were to find something, that would be it.
Okay.
All he had to find was one thing.
He had a suspicion percentage by his head, and so he's walking around looking at things, asking you questions, and you gotta answer them. He's asking you and Adam things, and I guess as he's walking around, or depending on the answers you give, would raise his suspicion level if he detects anything or if something you say is off. And I think this part was relatively easy because I had everything hidden, but it was still it was pretty tense, and I enjoyed it. And then
what were the 4 things you had to hide? Because I only found 3
you had to hide the uniform. Mm-hmm. You had to hide
whatever the
there's a magazine.
Yeah, a magazine. You had to hide a magazine.
Whatever, their power supply or what it was or not.
Their blue bags. The blue bags.
Yeah, blue. That's what it was. Yeah.
And there was something else.
Maybe it was the magazine I missed. Oh, you had to close the door where the other 2 androids were.
Yeah. Close the laundry room door as well. And so,
because I was thinking the whole time when I was missing one of them, I thought the last piece of evidence was going to be Kara. I was just like, wait a minute, I am the evidence.
That's meta. Where did you guys send Luther and Alice to?
They were in the laundry room, from what I remember. For me,
I think I sent them upstairs.
Yeah, I sent them upstairs.
So I sent him in the laundry room as well. So that's why I sent him in the laundry room, and I closed the door, and right away, and I lost that piece of evidence. I hid that piece of evidence or whatever. And so when the cop leaves, at least in my game, he's leaving, heading towards the front door, and there's he hears a sound in the laundry room, and I'm like, oh crap, it's about to go down. He's like, what was that? And then you have to think of something. I was like, the washing machine it's just an old washing machine, and that covered he didn't have a high enough suspicion, so he accepted that answer and he dipped out. So for you guys that didn't have them in the laundry room, did the sound still come from the laundry room, or did it come from upstairs? Or
upstairs?
I think one still came from the laundry room.
So I thought it was, maybe I might be wrong. I thought it was upstairs, and I was like, oh, my daughter's just asleep or whatever, or trying to go to sleep.
Sound like she's asleep.
Yeah.
That didn't raise any suspicions?
I thought that's what it was.
Nope. Because when he walks in, he asks you if anybody else is in the house.
Did you tell the truth? We all lied.
I think I did. Oh,
you said, "Oh, yeah, just me and some androids."
Hold on.
I know. Okay, for my game, man. So, Alice was sick at this point, right? By default.
No.
Was everybody's?
No, she wasn't sick.
Okay, mine.
Yeah, she was sick.
Cold, at some point, if I recall.
I think it was just Kara was convinced that she was like, so she was like keep trying to get her someplace like, you know, by the fire or covered up in a blanket or whatever.
But I remember that being my excuse for like, the cop found Alice at some point, and then we're like, oh well, she was really sick, so we didn't really want to bother you with telling her, telling you she was in the house.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Did you have that too, Greg, or?
Maybe that's what it was, guys. I do remember him saying something about Alice, but I can't remember for sure. Like, ultimately, he just left, but I can't remember what led to that before that.
Okay. But yeah, so I guess for all of our games, Alice and Luther didn't get caught, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the cop leaves, and like not too far after that, Rose shows up, and she's like, "Okay, I got a way to help you guys out, or whatever. We're good to go." And then from there, you get in the car with her, and you head north, and she takes you to which is weird. She takes you to the Jericho ship, and she's basically like, I think she says, if you wait here till midnight, there's gonna be a vehicle leaving to head to Canada, and she kind of just leaves you there, and then so you go inside the ship, and then you're looking around, and you get Alice a place that's warm, and then you were like, I want to meet the deviant leader, and I'm going to ask him for some electronic passports, and we can sidestep her story now, and we can go on to a different character. We'll leave it there. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about Marcus, I guess. Or no, let's talk about Connor. My boy.
Are you rubbing your hands like Connor?
I guess.
Does Connor rub his hands?
Yeah, you never noticed it?
No,
like
I never
the beginning
noticed.
of every chapter, I noticed it when like every time he went outside, but he would like blow in his hands and then rub them together, like his hands were cold or something.
Let's get this money.
But then
About to get ready.
I noticed he was doing that while he was inside too. Like once you start walking around, he would rub his hands together.
Let's get it.
So before we start on Connor, what's everybody's current death count with him at this point? Because some of you died with him, right?
I think I only had died once with him. I died in the epilogue.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Trevor, you didn't die though,
No.
right? Okay.
Okay.
Is it possible to die with him again?
Yep.
Apparently, it's possible just about every chapter,
Oh.
which is crazy.
Let me tell you. All right. So the first chapter with Connor is Russian roulette. So you arrive at Hank's place, and you're trying to get him. You have a lead for another case, and you get to his place, and he's just like super drunk, and so you're trying to sober him up and convince him he needs to come with you to investigate this murder at this this club.
Did we mention that we were sneaking into his apartment or breaking in, actually?
Oh yeah, you break into his apartment because you're locked out, and the dude is like passed out in his kitchen floor. Well, you didn't realize he's passed out. you think he got attacked or something, because like you end up breaking into his kitchen, climbing through the window, doing your like scan thing on him, and see that he's intoxicated, and you're like, oh crap. So it's funny, like you pick him up, he's still passed out, and you drop him in the shower, and then you turn the water on, and he wakes up and he gets pissed. It's funny. And then well, that chapter is pretty straightforward. It's pretty short. You're just sobering him up, talking to him, finding out a little bit more information about him while he's getting ready. And then
is this where you find out about his kid?
I didn't.
I think so.
I didn't.
Oh, I think it's one of those things. If
you can miss it,
quote unquote, decent in the previous chapter, he'll open up a little bit more.
Are you sure?
I think
so. He talked to you about him, or did you find evidence?
It's like a dialogue option you get, I believe.
Okay, because for me, like you have the point where you can you get to Hank's place and you can
I think you have to find his son's name somewhere.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is like I think it was like while he's waiting, like you pick the shirt for him to put on, and then you're like waiting for him to get dressed, and you can explore things. And there's like 6 things according to this flowchart. 6 things that you can discover, and I discovered 4 of the 6. So I did not know about his son.
Do you know anything about his son at the end of the game, or
yes.
are you still in the dark?
I found out later about his son.
Okay.
It was very unnatural how it happened in my game, though. This is like very like
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next chapter is you guys arriving at the club, and it's not a regular club. It's called Eden Club, and it's an android sex club. So basically humans go there to have good times with androids. And so you're walking around just trying to figure out, okay, like take me to the room. You scan. I think it's something simple like somebody got strangled or something like that. But it's a little cool investigation section where you basically have to view the camera or the memory of the androids. There's like a bunch of different androids like at poles and on display. Like, so there's stripper pole androids, and there's androids on display that you can buy time to have a good time in the side room. So you get to kind of look at their memory to see the suspicious character that's exiting the room at the time of the murder. And so you're like going between different androids and just piecing together this camera footage of this android as it's going through the club, and you're trying to follow and see where it ended up, and you end up finding it, and it or you end up finding the room it's in, and there's a whole bunch of like just lifeless androids in there, and then you get attacked by 2 androids, and there was like this is another quick time event where it's like you're fighting them off and trying to save Hank, and at one point you get an opportunity, like you chase them, and then you get an opportunity to shoot them. What do you guys do? Do you guys take them out or nah?
No, I didn't shoot him.
Did any of you guys shoot him?
I shot the one that attacks you initially.
Okay. So why did you not shoot it, Greg? Just because you didn't feel like it, or is it like a?
I think at that point I was just kind of like, you know what? I mean, they're not really doing anything, and I guess I was becoming like, sympathetic. So I was just like, I'm not gonna do this.
She was attacking you though.
I wanted to know why she killed the person, so I did not shoot her because I didn't want to like. Did
they not tell you, or did you not piece it together by that point? Why she got attacked?
I don't remember, but also I was like, why is there 2 of them? Like there must be something going on. Like I don't know. I don't remember if they said or not though.
if you don't shoot them, then they explain why,
after,
why they're
right?
doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's why I didn't shoot it, because like there's always like I always feel like if I do shoot, it's just gonna be lethal, and I don't want it to be lethal. Like,
does Hank want you to shoot?
I think he says don't do it.
It's
or
ambiguous,
he suggests,
isn't it?
I felt like he was kind of saying, or maybe he says.
Don't.
I feel like it's either he says something about it, or after you don't shoot him, he was like, "I think you made the right choice," or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I feel like with him, he's like, I feel like at this point he still hasn't made up his mind how he like feels, because I think Greg is right. I don't remember him saying do or don't shoot. I remember him like making a comment on it after the fact. But I also played this part like 2-3 weeks ago, so could be mistaken. But so what happened when you shot Trevor?
She dies, and then the other android, that's when you find out they were lovers. Mm-hmm. And then she's, what did she do?
She probably kills herself or something like that, doesn't she?
I don't think she killed herself, but she asked you to kill her. And then, like, you can decide to spare her or kill her, and I spared her.
Dang, man, you just let her live through all that pain?
We didn't need any more blue blood shed.
Oh, remember how you guys were asking about blue blood? Speaking of blue blood, I figured I read some more stuff, and it tells you what it is. Did you guys read? Do you guys read the magazines or no?
I
read like some of them, but not all of them.
I picked them up to read them later, but I never got around to it.
Okay, so I read them all the ones I saw. So the blue blood circulates energy and electrical information through all of the CyberLife androids. So I guess all androids have a power source, but the CyberLife ones are the ones that have blue blood. So they mention like I guess CyberLife is an American, as far as I know, company, because they said that there's Chinese androids that don't have blue blood, and they're super efficient. Like they can last without being charged for months. And then the Russian androids, they can work in a lot cooler temperatures than normal androids, so they can work underwater. And what else it said? Basically, the blue blood works similarly to how blood works for humans. So if you lose too much blood, then you have a system shutdown. But the blue blood, it powers this. They have synthetic organs to maintain temperature, circulate the blue blood, and basically make the androids seem more human. So like they help inflate their synthetic lungs, so it makes it look like they're actually breathing and all that. So, yeah, that's what blue blood is. I can't believe you guys didn't read these things. Man, they were so interesting.
I did.
I meant to.
They were so interesting.
They were really good.
But
I was just gonna say on the subject of blue blood, it's pretty much nanomachine, son.
Sure.
Get them electrolytes pumping through the body.
There was another thing. So you guys remember in the beginning of the game, the first thing with Marcus, and he's like painting, and he's saying like androids aren't built for making art and everything like that, right?
Yeah.
And then there was an article about this all android boy band called Here For You.
And I think I saw that one.
In the article, it said less than 5% of music is produced by humans in the world. And
well,
go ahead. You know what were you about to say?
I was gonna say this is actually like a thing where they machine learning is able to produce or at least infer like the sounds that people like.
Yeah.
So there is this kind of like current trend of essentially like computer-based music or computer-generated music.
Yes.
So it's kind of a touchy subject whether that is actually art or not because, it's all algorithms.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of what this
is hinting at.
Yeah.
So
what
then
you're saying is
had,
Daft Punk is the future.
Is their stuff computer generated?
No, he's just saying that's their aesthetic. But yeah, so I was thinking like, man, if that's the case, like, it made me think like, what does future music sound like if only 5% is made by humans? So I was like, does all the music quote unquote sound the same, or like, is it just like no vocals at all? Like, is it mostly like club?
If you think about pop culture and how pop music is generated and how a lot of it is very similar.
Sure, but
it kind of makes sense.
Sure, but I was just like, even like vocals and like what genres are popular now, because like, unless I don't know, I thought it was interesting. It's not as interesting as Blue Blood, but I just thought, I was like, less than 5% of music is made by humans. Like, man, what are the humans doing? Are they all country singers, or like what do they do?
Huh. I never thought about what genre.
That's what I'm saying.
The humans would be relegated to at that point.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, I guess
it's got to be extremely niche, like super counterculture,
sad boys music. Yeah. All right. So,
I wonder if in this future, have they finally decided if video games are art or not?
Definitely not. They're all made by androids.
Have they?
You know, you're probably right.
Have they figured out if loot boxes are gambling yet?
They've mastered. They work crunch 24/7. They're just churning stuff out. They don't miss any deadlines, though. I know that. All right. So for my game, I didn't shoot her, and you They embrace, kiss, or whatever, say they love each other, then you kind of they just run off. And I think at that point, and that's when Hank in my game asks, like, why did you do this or whatever, or maybe it's later. I think actually might be the next chapter. So this chapter is Hank is sitting by himself at the Ambassador Bridge, and he's just drinking, just staring off into the distance, and that's when you get to kind of talk with him. And this is another pretty short chapter. It's just like I think this is this where you guys find out about Hank's son?
Maybe. I think he might have alluded toward it earlier, but I think this is where you actually get like the info dump.
Yeah, I think this is where he asked me about the we talk about what happened at the club, and that's mostly what I talked to him about.
So when he brings up his son, is that what you get whenever you choose the suicide dialogue option?
What?
When you're talking to Hank, like there's always a suicide dialogue option. Like whenever you're asking him about himself.
I think you have to find that picture of his son, I think, in his house. I think that's when it comes up, or I can't remember.
Because I never touched that subject because I figured that would decrease my reputation with Hank.
I remember there being a suicide prompt at one point, but I just don't remember it being that.
This was at least
prevalent
3 times that I saw it, but I never touched it.
Marcus?
Say that again?
So, like, whenever you're asking Hank about himself, there's always an option, and it's not one of the unlocked options. It's like one of the default dialogue options whenever you're having like just a more personal conversation with Hank, and it'll one of the suggestions will be suicide.
I might have saw it, but I don't remember. I maybe once or twice, but I didn't. I never selected it because I didn't know. There wasn't enough context clues for me to be like, let me pick this in good faith. I know what's gonna happen. It was all like, I hate when that happens, where it's just like, this sounds interesting, but can I get a little bit more like context clues before I select this? Because there's no going back. So yeah, I didn't select it. For me, this is I think he draws the gun on you at this chapter. Does he automatically, right?
Who?
Did
Hank?
he draw it on you guys? Yeah.
Wait, is this the Meet Komsky chapter?
No. This is the Ambassador Bridge.
I don't think
he drew a gun on me, and like we were homies. I didn't understand this part. It threw me off. Like,
oh wait, I've gone too far.
I think he might have drew a gun on me.
Cause like,
Oh yeah, he does draw a gun. Yeah,
okay, I was about to say, because I'm not gonna lie, like Connor probably is my favorite section to play, and Hank is one of my favorite characters. But they have like it seems more organic relationship. It's less forced. But there was so many like leading up, like the whole first half that we talked about. First part of this game that we talked in the first pod was working towards getting Hank on my side and us being friends. So I started this second part, we were friends. So like I didn't do anything the 2 previous chapters to not be his friend, like I was trusted, but like a lot of the actions that he took this second part of the game were like, so the game says we're friends, but like you're not. It was weird. The game says we're friends, but you're not treating me like a friend right now, man.
Well, I think that was just Hank being a Hank. Like, when he pulls the gun out, it's because he has all of this self-doubt about androids in general, and like, are these actual people? Connor's the first person to really
make him question.
Connor's the first android to actually make him question whether they're just more than machines. And now he's seeing how Connor reacts to the prospect of death.
Sure.
Which, I mean, that's a very extreme way to do it by pulling a gun on somebody, but...
Especially considering...
I feel like he needed to know.
Especially considering the fact that he has died in a couple of our games.
Like, yeah, at this point... But, I mean, they're pre-Hank. So, if he died... Like, in my game, he's asked if you're dead and, you know, blah, blah, this and that. But if you had died, like, at least one other time before this, so, like, Hank has seen that process, him pulling on the gun should have been a non-factor. He shouldn't have done it, you know?
See, I think it would be even more, like, if somebody died twice and they came back, I'd be more prompted to see, like, hey, are you really the same thing that I've seen, or... Are you just like a recreation, quote unquote?
Isn't he a recreation?
I mean, I think he has an actual, like, they got his quote unquote DNA or whatever.
But
or his quote unquote brain.
But doesn't he remember everything that happened in every version of his?
Well, now we're talking about clones versus like transferring brains.
Oh no! Honestly, I think it's just like the body is a hard drive, and you're just transferring data. Is how I saw it.
Gotcha.
So like the hard drive is new, but the data is old. You know, and it's constantly getting new data. Like when he goes to Eating Club, that's all new stuff. And if he died on the bridge, he's going to remember everything that happened before that. That all that data gets transferred onto this new hard drive, and then anything that is happening is also getting written on that hard drive.
Right. I'm just saying, like, I think Frank, or why do I keep saying Frank? Hank is second guessing whether Connor is an actual, like, thing with a quote unquote soul, or just some clever program pretty much being used to trick him into doing his work better.
Gotcha. Well, did he shoot any of you guys on the bridge?
Nah.
No, I didn't get shot.
Mm-mm. Okay, cool. So, let's sidetrack and let's talk about Marcus. And then we'll pick back up with Connor, because their chapters start to intermingle a little bit. So let's go to Marcus. So when we last left off with Marcus, he just got to Jericho. So when we pick up with him, he's now in Jericho. He's meeting all the androids that are there. He's seeing the stark conditions that they're in. So there's a lot of androids that are on their last, I was going to say breath, but last battery charge. I don't know. Like, they're in bad shape. And there's a couple that are in working condition, but like they're few and far between. So he ends up meeting. Oh, actually, did we talk about this? Didn't we talk about Josh and North and Simon? Or no? Am I tripping?
I don't think we went into
I don't
detail.
think we did.
Okay, so there's 3 main androids that are part of this crew that you basically assemble at Jericho. And as I said, there's Josh, there's Simon, and there's North. So Josh is like, Simon seems like kind of like the leader of them. It seems like, and then North is a female android, and then Josh is a male android. And I could even see this early on, like especially this chapter. From this chapter on, like Simon and North seemed to be on the same page, but Josh was not. So you could do something that, you know, was pro Josh, and the other two would be like, nah. And, or vice versa. If you did something that North and Simon were like, yeah, Josh would be like, nah. So there was, you had 3 characters plus the Jericho as like a gauge of like the decisions you're making, how they viewed your decisions. So there was way more juggling of
factions.
Yeah, and with Marcus than there was. So like with Kara, you only really cared about Alice, and then once you got Luther, then you cared about how they felt about you. And then as Connor, you only really cared about how well, I take that back. With Kara, it was Alice, then Luther, but also there was a public opinion one, I guess, as well, but who cares? And then with Connor, it was just Hank. And then with Marcus, it was Simon, North, Josh, Jericho, and public opinion. So you had 5 things that you were juggling. So you guys decide, like, hey, like, all these androids are in a bad shape. There's a CyberLife spare part facility really close by. We can hit them up at night, get some parts, and we can, you know, kind of stabilize some of these androids, and, you know, like, we'll have a more strength in numbers. And so you guys ended up sneaking into... Oh, wait, you want to talk about that, Dante? I forgot about that.
I just vaguely remember it since it's been a while, but Jericho does have a leader who I guess she mostly calls the shots, but then she has the 3 North.
She seems more like the Oracle
Josh.
from the Matrix.
Yes, she definitely does have that, like, hey, my hair is my wires vibe to her. But she's just kind of like this thing, and she's trying to teach you. I can't remember if she like tries to heal you or something.
I think she gives you like vision, or it is something like.
Well, my character,
some spiritual.
My character, Marcus, had gotten injured on the way to Jericho, so she like heals him, like when he first meets her.
And is she injured herself?
Yeah, she's like
missing her dome.
She's missing the top of her head. So she really only has like eyes, nose, mouth, and like a jawline, but she's missing like ears, the top of her head, the back of her head, and I think she's even like pretty stripped bare as far as like I think it's kind of like I don't think she has like a body in the normal sense. I feel like she was also a little bit funky in that as well, but I could be mistaken. But anyways, you guys end up going to the CyberLife facility, and you're everything's going smoothly. You get all your parts, and you guys are stealing stuff, and I think you guys end up getting spotted by an android, and then you get to make the decision to take them out or to shush them up, and then like the humans that are also security guards are like, oh, well, let's go check over here, and you get the option to shoot that guy or let the I don't know. There's some cool little decisions that you can make here. What did you guys end up doing? How'd you guys tackle this situation?
I gotta go back and look.
So
I remember one of the androids saying he wanted to go with us, but then I told him no, and I think he snitched after that.
Dang.
yeah, that's basically what happened in my story. Like I hid from the security guard and kind of held him and told him
We lost Trevor?
no snitching. But he still ended up ratting me out because I wouldn't let him come with us. I figured, if he did come with us, or at least at this point in the game, I didn't know like the difference between deviants and non-deviants who are like still working for or working against deviants. And so I didn't want to risk taking him to Jericho and then him telling, the humans where all the deviants were.
Oh, well.
I let him into my crew.
Yeah, I did too. I was like, we need more black androids.
Black androids gotta stick together.
Right.
I'm looking at that. It looks like there's like a bunch of stuff or like a bunch of choices you can make if you do that instead.
Yeah, so I hid with him. He becomes deviant. The guy comes around, and I really wanted to shoot him, but I didn't. I stayed hidden. And then, so the dude joins up our crew, and then I think from there you get to keep looking for things, and you find a crate of androids, and you can choose to either free them or leave them. I'm guessing everybody freed them, or what'd you guys do?
Yeah,
I left them.
Whoa, you left them?
Yep. I don't even remember why.
So
like honestly,
rude.
I got mine. I got my blue blood.
Did you free him, Dante? Do you know?
I'm pretty sure I freed him.
Okay, good. And then, so I don't know if this happens. So it's just me and you, Dante. If you accept the android to your crew, he tells you about a key. And you can go to the control room and get the key, and you can
get like that big shipment.
Yeah, you can get a big shipment of parts. So this part is really cool because you have to go to the control room. There's 2 humans in there, and you have to like take them down in order to get the key. And so you end up. What'd you end up doing for that situation? Do you remember?
Honestly, like, I remember there being a decision where people were saying like, "Hey, we need to get out now."
Yeah.
But then I think I stayed for longer and tried to get as much as
possible. That's the same exact thing I did. I tried to be the hero. And so there's a gun in there, and I picked the gun up and I pulled the gun on them, and I just threatened to shoot them, and then they tried to get the jump on me, and you have some situations where you could kill them or not, and I end up incapacitating them. So I was able to do the non-lethal way.
I'm pretty sure I did
and
the same.
And then you get the key, leave with the truck, and then you have like a whole gang of parts. So that's where our chapters end. Where Trevor, I guess you guys just brought what you could.
Yeah, because as soon as you tell the one android that he can't come, he gets upset and then he calls the alarm when you.
Dang, man, should have brought him. So next chapter is. Oh shoot. So at this point, I don't remember why Marcus is butthurt. But he decides that we need to take us to the next level. There, like androids are being treated poorly, and let's broadcast a message at the Stratford Tower, which is like the big broadcast tower in Detroit. So they have this elaborate plan. It's pretty cool because it's like multiple parts, and basically
it's like Ocean's 11.
Exactly. He like infiltrates this building. He's dressed as something else. He has to like do a couple of steps in this plan to get these, get access to this room. He opens up a side door to let North in, who's also dressed in the same uniform as him. And then, so like this is all going on in a business building, like on a business day. So like he's, acting as normal as he can in incognito, while still pulling off this elaborate plan. And they hack,
like pseudo hitman-esque. Just, hey, let me disguise myself as this janitor and just kind of
hack this server.
sneak through this
yeah,
building.
exactly. And they do that. Then they ride this elevator. They do a laser cutter through this window to climb the tower to get to a higher point. And then they let this side elevator open to let in Josh and Simon. And then they climb even higher in the thing. And then you're like right outside the broadcast station, the four of you guys. And then there's two human security guards. And you get the option to take them down lethally or non-lethally. And do you know what you guys chose?
I'm trying to remember. Let me look at my choices. I'm pretty sure it's on there.
I'm pretty sure I didn't do anything.
Yeah, I did the non-lethal.
I definitely shot that dude that was running away.
Oh, no, I was talking about the two security guards.
Oh, alright, yeah, no, I didn't. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think I disposed of them non-lethally.
Yeah, I took them down non-lethally.
Okay.
But yeah, Greg, that one guy.
Yeah, he had to go.
Yeah, so okay, cool. So you take out the security, and then you're like, all right, cool. Like we got to go in. So you go into the broadcast room, and there's a bunch of people and some androids in there. You hold them all at like gunpoint, and you're like, yo, like nobody leaves, blah blah blah. And then this dude, he just juts out and he starts running for the exit, and you get the option to shoot him or not. So it sounds like Trevor and Greg, y'all shot him. What'd you do, Dante?
I let him go.
Damn, I shot him too.
I thought he would at least shoot him in the legs or something.
That's what exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No.
This
I
man
told
took the kill shot.
Dude, it was even it was funny because like later on, like you hear in the game, like, oh damn, he shot him right through the heart. The only person that could have done that is an android. I was like, dang. So yeah, what happens if you don't shoot him?
I think he gets away, but I think it doesn't really matter much in the grand scheme of things, because you're about to broadcast that message anyway.
Yeah. So then you end up broadcasting the message, basically, and you just build a speech section where you can kind of choose like your talking points. And this was another thing that was like. You didn't get enough context clues because I'm like, all right, cool, yeah, I want to trickle in some of this, sprinkle in some of this, and he's like, basically like, we want to be able to, our Second Amendment rights and all this stuff, and it's like, dang, dude, like I just wanted you guys to be treated equally, like. We could have just stopped right there. We didn't have to do all this other stuff. Like, we want our own land. And
we actually need our own division of the
yeah,
NRA.
like, that's basically what it was like. And it was just like, oh, man, I just wanted you guys to get treated equally. Like, we didn't have to, like, ask for, like, our own country, sovereign nation, and statehood and all this stuff. Like, it was too much. And, anyways, the security of the building or cops, I don't remember what it is, they find out you guys are doing, like they're trying to, because you're broadcasting this live, so they're like, oh, we got to get there. So they break in, there's a shootout, and I think, does Simon get damaged for all you guys, for everybody?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
so
a
Simon
tough
gets damaged, and what do you guys end up doing about Simon? Because I think you can opt to leave him or not. Do you get to leave him in the broadcast room or no?
Yeah.
Did you guys leave him or bring him with you?
I left him.
I brought him with me up to the roof.
Yeah, I brought him to the roof.
I think I brought him to the roof. I'm trying to look and see.
Oh, yeah, so it was like, okay, just to go back for the speech, it was like, demand recognition, demand end of slavery, demand equal rights, demand free speech, demand justice, demand right to work, universal.
Well, See, the thing is, though, like, you know, if you didn't tell those people, like, if you didn't spell out to the letter what you wanted, people are gonna be like, oh, well, we gave them this.
Demand means enough. Reproduction, demand territory, and it's like, what? And then you can kind of end it, like, peacefully or not, and I think ultimately, like, what I wanted to get across was, like, for my Marcus, I wanted it to be peaceful. I didn't want it to be, like, and I'm willing to die for this, because I didn't want that to be a thing. And that's when the SWAT storms in, and like I said, I brought Simon. I saved Simon. So you left Simon in the broadcast room, Trevor?
Yeah.
That's ruthless. So we all took him up to the rooftop. So at this point, you got to jump off the rooftop, and you're like, oh, well, Simon, he got shot in his leg. He can't jump, which is so stupid. Because you're just literally just going off the edge of the rooftop with a parachute. So all he has to do is just pull him off the edge, and he can pull the ripcord. His arms still work. So you get to choose to either, like, basically they're like, well, we can't leave Simon as he is, because if we do, then they're going to access his memories and know everything about where we're at or everything. So here's the gun, Marcus. You make the decision. And it's like, shoot Simon or spare him. So what did you guys end up doing?
Spare with air quotes.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm looking at mine. He didn't even get damaged in my playthrough. Because I don't see anything about, like, having to make that choice.
Weird. Huh. So, for me, I was like, I'm just gonna... And then I saw an option, you could give him the gun. I'm like, cool, he can shoot himself. Yes. So I gave him the gun. And, yeah, like, it ended up being alright. I didn't have to make that choice, and I was happy about that. You remember what you did, Trevor? I mean, Dante?
I definitely gave him the gun, as grim as that is. You know, that's really messed up. The more I think about it, the more I feel bad.
What if he would have shot you?
Like, I mean, I couldn't really
Because I was
hate
thinking,
him for
like,
it,
I was
you
thinking,
know?
like, oh, this is gonna be like a last stand thing, is what I was thinking. Like, yo, man, hold him off for us. We appreciate it, partner.
I think that's actually kind of what.
I don't know.
Happened.
They don't show, man. They don't.
Well, I'm just reading this guide right now, and it says you can kill Simon, but this is not a good choice. It will lock you out of a bunch of stuff in the future. And Simon does hold off some people in the following chapter.
Yeah, but so it's like really weird. So. It's weird because in my game he comes back. Spoilers. So like Simon is in later chapters in my game, and I'm like, so what happened on the rooftop? Like, so you did jump? Like, I don't know. Like, that's not explained in my game, and it was weird. So yeah, and then you guys jump off the Stratford Tower and you guys parachute away. The very next chapter, and this is when it starts to intermingle, is Connor and you and Hank are basically investigating the Stratford Tower and just trying to figure out what's happening. So it's kind of like, it's a little bit slow just because since you played it, you know everything that's happened, but you're playing as Connor, so you have to investigate. And so, like, the people there have an idea of what has happened. You basically investigate, say, no, this is actually what happened. This is what actually happened. And you end up interrogating some androids. There's 3 identical androids, and they are, well, actually, I don't know if this is for you guys, but for me, the androids are the guys that you let free, that I teamed up with. Were they the androids for you guys?
I mean, I didn't free them, but like, it was just 3 androids that I had to interrogate. But
I remember there's 3 androids, and I think
they were the guy that you freed at the or that we teamed up with as Marcus.
The only one I had freed was the one that that gave me the card, the security card, in order to get over there.
Well, anyways, you interrogate them, and like one of them has gone deviant. You don't know which one, so you're like kind of like looking at their body language, and like right away, I knew which one it was, so I singled him out, and I was asking him everything, but he wasn't breaking. And then next thing I know, he just like goes crazy, and he rips out the thing in my chest of my Connor, and then you gotta like crawl over and plug it back in, and like you have to get up and follow him, and he's like got the gun and the hostage, and like he's shooting at people, and then
I didn't even get all that.
Yeah,
I died.
Oh, did you die, Dante?
Yeah,
I didn't figure out which one it was.
I think the tell is like he starts looking
like
at you and kind of like.
Yeah, he turned his head on the first question I asked.
See, I feel like I was watching that stuff, but I just didn't. I think I was locking into something else they were doing, and it messed me up.
Yeah, so like, I was able to crawl to that thing, Greg, and plug the part back in my chest, so I was able to get up, and so he had already gone to that hallway, like that you start off in, and he has a gun and he's shooting at. He had killed a bunch of the cops, and there's a shootout, and at its point, he basically, you're in another one of those situations where you have to choose between charging at him, I think, or saving Hank, and I opted to save Hank, and dude just murked me.
Wait a minute, what?
Yeah, I got murked. Like the android, the deviant android took the gun. He killed a bunch of the cops, and he basically you had to choose between saving Hank or going after him, and I went to save Hank, and I
had 3 options.
What was your other option?
To basically, like, to the right, there's another security guard, and you can grab his gun and then shoot the android.
Oh.
And that's what I picked.
Oh.
So basically, you save Hank.
Yeah, I saved Hank. Did Hank die in your game?
Well, I'm saying when you choose that option, you save Hank and you don't die.
Oh, well, I died. I thought there was only 2 options.
Yeah, I guess I failed the quote-unquote, puzzle of the chapter, but everybody ended up living, so...
Hooray!
It's a mixed bag.
Yeah, so I ended up dying as Connor. So you saved Hank. You didn't have that situation, Trevor, or Dante or Greg, right? Your Connor died. Your Connor died.
Yeah, I didn't find that piece to put back in, and he just dies right there.
Okay, we finally had a chapter where everything branched off for all of us.
Wait, does this go into the rooftop stuff at all? Oh, well, I guess you wouldn't have had it since your dude died.
Well, I was wondering what happened because going up to the rooftop was an option, but as soon as I started interacting with the androids, that's when it kind of escalated and went to the next part.
Okay, so
I never got a chance to.
Maybe I should take over for a little bit. Essentially, as Connor, you get the option to investigate the rooftop, given that he's still alive at this point. And from what I remember, you can see a couple trails of blue blood from who was it? Simon. And I think you can find Simon, and you're given a couple options. According to this thing, you can either rush him, you can get shot by Simon, or Simon can get destroyed by the SWAT team. So, from what I remember, I think I got to Simon as Connor, and I think I was able to, I think I read his mind or something, and I found out where Jericho was from that. It was either that or Simon blows his brains out, and I'm pretty sure it was
Yeah, I didn't have that, so I was already dead. We were all dead. Or, in Trevor's case, you didn't have to do that, Trevor?
No. I completely skipped over the rooftop part. I had the option to go up there, but I honestly, since I did play as Marcus on that section, and I know there wasn't any evidence on the roof, I didn't feel inclined to go up there as Connor.
So, have we actually talked about the software instability?
No, we have not.
Thing with. Can we start going into that, because it has pretty big repercussions in the upcoming chapters. Okay. So essentially, another gameplay mechanic that Connor has that the other androids don't is something known as software instability. And essentially how it works is instability is what causes androids to be deviant. So the more actions that you take that go against Connor's quote-unquote desired programming, the more your software instability increases and the more deviant he becomes. Or if you just choose to kind of do the rote, I'm going to be a good android thing, your software instability level goes down. And I'm pretty sure that can lock you out of a lot of choices in the chapters that are about to come up.
Oh, really?
And this is coming up throughout the entire
I never
game,
knew what it meant, and I just kind of put it together at the end that it was like, oh, it's like his opportunity to go deviant is what I thought it was.
Huh. I never thought about that. Like,
it's almost like Mass Effect or Fallout, where once you hit a certain threshold with this ability, you get more options.
But there's no tell, unlike Mass Effect or those other games where it's like, oh, this is the the Renegade, this is the Paragon option.
Well, it's not
literally
red or blue, but anything. Anything where it's like, hey, I'm acting more like a human and less like an android, that's going to increase your instability.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
Like not shooting the androids in that strip club chapter or whatever, that was going to increase your instability because you were programmed to destroy deviants. So going against your original coding, essentially.
Okay. Anything else on that chapter, or we can hop into the next one? Okay.
I think that's it.
So the next chapter is Meet Kamsky, and so one of the magazines speaks about Kamsky, and basically he was the original founder of CyberLife, the original CEO, and he was the one that basically made the androids have the blue blood in their whole system, and he ended up he was like a super successful, because he did this as a young person, like a 20-year-old. Think like Mark Zuckerberg's, like where he's like, in college, and he comes up with this, and he gets massively rich, and so he's like a billionaire, many times over, and he ends up breaking away from the company over some disagreements, and like he's uber wealthy, and he just kind of went off the grid, and you end up finding a lead to where he lives, so you can ask him about these models of androids and why there are so many that are going deviant. And he's a very, very interesting character. Exactly how I pinned him, like he's kind of like a dick in like a tech bro-y type of way, where he's just like, very...
He's wearing his sandals everywhere.
I like how that is like your definition.
Hey man, I know the type.
Yeah, I didn't know how to explain it, but that is a very apt description. He has a man bun. That was another thing. Yeah, so he has like 3 female servant
Tracy's.
Say that again?
No, I said Tracy's.
Yeah. 3 female servant androids, and so you're talking to him, and like he's really not giving you any information, and he's basically like, he gets one of his servants, he gets a gun out, and then he just has her kneel in front of him, and he's basically like puts the gun to her head, and he's like, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. If you want me. Wait, does he hand you the gun, or does he?
Yeah, he
hands you the gun.
Yeah,
yeah. And he's like, if you want all of the answers, to what I know, pull the trigger. Otherwise, don't pull the trigger. I'm not telling you anything. Because he basically wants to run an experiment and see, like, oh, like, you're asking about deviants. Well, your job is to, you know, you work for CyberLife. You work for the Detroit PC, or, you know, Detroit Police Department. So your number one mission is to accomplish your mission. So you should do it by any means. That's how robots are written. But let's see what you do. Let's see if you do what is right for machine/android code, or if you do what's right for human code. And so Hank is kind of, I still don't remember if Hank tells you, like, in the moment what you should do. But what did you guys end up shooting the android or sparing it?
I spared it.
Yeah, I spared it too.
I spared it.
You better have spared it, Marcus.
So we all spared it, so we didn't get no information. If I had known that, I would
have... So, this is like one of those things where if enough people play this a giant bomb, I feel like this would have been a candidate for best moment. Because every time you boot up Detroit Become Human, you get greeted by this android, Chloe, and she's like, oh, well, how was your day? How are you doing? And she's just kind of greeting you as a player into the game. When you walk into this place, it's Chloe. And it threw me off because it kind of broke the fourth wall in a really weird way. And I was
what would have been even cooler? If you offed her, the next time you started up, it was a different android.
I think that might be the case, actually. Like, there's something that happens at the end of the game. Yeah. Or actually, no. You know what? I'm going to go into this now because I don't think it's a spoiler. So Chloe... Actually, no, this is a spoiler. We're going to go into it later.
All right.
Yes.
So we all spared her, and so we leave, and outside, Hank is like, yo, like, what are you doing? Like, why didn't you do that? And why did you spare it? And then, like, you can give an excuse for why you did it. And then he's like, I know for me, I was like, oh, I didn't do my job, I'm sorry, and blah, blah, blah. And he kind of was like, well, just because you didn't do it doesn't mean you did the wrong thing, you know? And it kind of like, you got Hank's approval, even if you didn't necessarily accomplish your mission, you know what I'm saying? So it was like another path towards getting Hank's approval, which was cool. And so this next chapter is Last Chance Connor. And so this is something we haven't talked about. Every chapter you start with Connor, you start off in this, like, it's almost like an afterlife section. And it's like, is it CyberLife's headquarters or something? And with Amanda?
The female equivalent of the dude from the Matrix. Like the end boss of the Matrix. Not Morpheus, like...
Agent Smith?
The dude... Oh, I can't think of his name. No. It's not the end of the first Matrix. It's like the end of the trilogy. Like, all I can think of is... Dude in this all-white room that's all-knowing.
The wizard.
Yeah, close enough. We'll go with that.
Was it the architect?
I think it might have
been. The only thing I remember from Matrix 3 is the mech parts. Anyway, so we hadn't really discussed her because I honestly didn't think that she was important, which was stupid of me. But yeah, she's like basically, I don't know if she's high up in CyberLife or if she is in your mind or what. Like, I believe this place is in your mind, and you can go to this place at any time, or as Connor, not as the player. But before each mission, you're in this place. You can pay respects to the former Connors, R.I.P. They have grave sites, with but every time you meet this woman, Amanda, and you talk to her, and she basically she's just there to make sure you're in working order and to like debrief you about your mission and what's coming up. And she seems to be the thing, like, to make sure that you are still accomplishing, like, you don't deviate and become a deviant, and to make sure you accomplish your mission. So, like, I didn't get that in the beginning, so I was like, oh, this is another person to try to get on my side. But as I got further on, and, like, you're hit with these different scenarios, and then, like, I'm, like, acting less like a police officer / machine and more like a human, I started to lose favor with her. And she basically, in this chapter, she's basically like, this is your last chance to do, your thing, or you'll get decommissioned for good. And so she wants you to find the location of Jericho and put a stop to the deviants, and put a stop to, at this point, Marcus is considered, he's referenced as the deviant leader because of the stunt that they pulled at the CyberLife Tower, the Stratford Tower. So he's leading this revolution, this coalition of deviant androids, and they're assumed to be at some place called Jericho, the Jericho Stronghold. So you basically are trying to get there as Connor and put them down, to stop them from uprising. And so we're gonna do a little bit of jumping around now. And I actually jumped a little too far ahead with Connor. The chapter before that one I just was referencing is you play as Marcus, and you guys are spreading the gospel of your group. So you're literally like going to a public place like the mall that you went to in the very beginning of the game, or the shopping area, to buy paints for Carl. You are now here with your crew, and you're basically converting androids into deviants by like putting your hand on them and basically saying, "You're free." And he's basically turning all these these androids into deviants to follow him. So he's gaining a cult following, if you will. And then at this point, you no. Oh my god. I goofed. I went.
Huh?
Okay. No, that's not. No, that's not Freedom
like
March.
Freedom
That's.
March.
I forgot to do the one before that. Yeah, my bad. So Capitol Park is you and North going to a shopping area, and basically you want to send a message to Detroit and just to society. And so you basically want to break into this place and leave a message. So you have to figure out a way to break into this building, and you have to make sure that you're not on security. You have to cut the security cameras. You have to take out the drones. You have to convert the androids in the area so they don't snitch on you. And long story short, like, you end up you can, at this point, like, you have a bunch of androids on your side. It's really late at night. You block the road off so there's no cars coming through, and you get the option to vandalize or to just spray paint and spread your message. And so did you guys like break windows and turn over cars, or did you just leave like banners and spray paint like your peace sign and all that stuff?
Just banners,
the peaceful way,
and spray paint. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much did what every like 12-year-old does in Overwatch and just spam my emoji everywhere.
I'm guessing you did that too, Trevor?
Yeah, mine was peaceful too.
So now we're at the Freedom March. You're back at the mall. You're converting more androids. All your crew is with you. You're leading a march, and yeah.
Wait. Before we leave that last chapter, there was one choice where I think you corner an officer with another group of androids. Do you guys remember that?
I think you're thinking of the one we're about to talk. Let me see.
No, it's Capitol Park, according to the thing I'm looking at. Like, the police patrol arrives, and then an officer and his partner start firing on the fleeing androids. And that's how you actually exit that chapter, because you kind of retreat or take care of the problem.
Okay, yeah. So the police patrol arrives, and then you get the option to. I don't remember what the options are, but it looks like I let the crowd decide. So I still didn't want to make a decision at this point, personally.
Gotcha.
Apparently, that's still a negative decision too.
Yeah, it was a negative. I lost favor with North.
Public opinion.
Yeah, with North
yeah,
too.
Oh, this is during the March, or am I thinking
it's the
something
chapter
else?
before. Yeah, so at this point, so Marcus is this revolutionary figure, like leader of this organization, and Josh is essentially like he's the non-violent angel on your shoulder, or I won't even say angel. He's the non-violent side, and then North is the by any means possible side, and it's like, well, at this point,
What's the
Simon
other
is
dude?
in the picture.
The third.
So it's
Gotcha.
before it was Simon. Like he was more on. He didn't.
He was the thing keeping
Exactly.
everything in check before you arrived, and now he's gone. So now these other two factions have kind of, hey, we need
He was
to
the
go this
tiebreaker.
way or this way.
But yeah. So you get to kind of choose. So like, if you choose one side, you're losing favor with the other side, and so like, it's a super reductive way to look at like the two things that they're most closely, picking from. It's like, oh, nonviolent Martin Luther King, oh, by any means Malcolm X, or like those are the two things, and it's just it's not really. I don't know. I felt like this wasn't like the more egregious to me, where it was just like, we don't really want to delve really, really deeply into like the philosophies behind these things, but like if we have this choice and it's just like, oh, you have to choose one or the other, then it just kind of like, oh, we can just having this is saying something even though it's not really saying anything. And then it goes even further, because I honestly don't remember this police patrol, like when they pop up what happens, but in the Freedom March, which is titled Freedom March, stuff goes down in this chapter, and this chapter like really rubbed me the wrong way, because so like this chapter, I hate this chapter. Like this is like when I like officially was like, yo, this character, I don't like this character, I don't like the story with this character, anything with this character. And so you're converting all these androids you're seeing at the shopping area, and then you get this huge crew behind you. It's everybody from Jericho, and you start walking down the street, and you guys start chanting, and you guys are literally marching in the street, and then like I gotta pull up an article because they have the quote, but it's like you can chant like. There's 4 options.
They give you like 2 or 3,
options.
or maybe more than that. Like
we
several.
are alive.
Yeah.
We have a dream, which is just like, are you serious? Like, what do you?
Yeah.
And then like the other one was like it's just. Okay, yeah. So it says, we have a dream. I think, therefore I am. 1 planet, 2 races, or equal rights for androids. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, you're just you're literally walking down the street and you're just chanting that, and then you walk to the end of the street and the cops show up, and then the cops, I mean, they're armed. They're really, really armed to the teeth, and they block the road. And then you get the option to, I don't remember what it is, but it's, you like raise your hands at them, or you can raise like a fist, or something else. And it was just like,
I think it's you stand your ground, but leave, or you charge at them.
Like, you can raise your fist, you can raise your hand, like, you know, don't shoot. And it's just you're just ripping stuff out that I was so salty. I was so salty.
Or
you can kneel. You can kneel. Yes, you can kneel. You can. It's kneel, raise your hands, raise a fist, or charge at them. Those are your 4 options. And like, what did? It's I think it's really poorly handled. Basically, it just like you're still not saying anything with these statements. You're like literally like co-opting other movements, I guess, for this game, and you're not really making a statement. You're literally just saying like, "Oh, this is similar. This is what they would do in this situation."
Yeah, it's just drawing a parallel.
Like, I get why the chapter exists, but there's definitely a better way to do it. Like, you have to have this chapter in the game because that's Marcus's storyline, him creating this uprising or whatever. But at the same time, you don't have to make a mockery of previous
and like this entire chapter
history.
And the chapter before,
yeah,
it was like the way the androids refer to themselves is a lot of what they're saying is we are slaves and free our people. There's a lot of our people and like a us versus them language. And like Marcus was a servant for a very wealthy dude. He didn't live a struggled life. You know, it wasn't until the situation happened where like he didn't have a struggle. Like his owner wasn't abusive. His master or whatever you want to call it wasn't abusive. The part where the thing,
he was a house slave.
Yes, and then on top of that too, it's like,
yeah.
Part of me is like, maybe like it's so easy to like see the situation that he was in would have played out the same exact way, where if the white dude was like, nah, he did it, they would have listened to him because he was white, but in this situation they listened to him because he was a human versus an android, right? It was like this situation played out, his owner died from a heart attack, and then the cops show up and say, who done it? And then the white guy, the white human, is basically like, this black android did it. And like, it's so easy to like, if you take away the fact that their race, and that's like what they're trying to do in this game, they're basically saying like all humans are the same and all androids are the same, but then they still have this race element to them that they're still piggybacking off of. So
wait.
So what I'm saying is in like real life, like not Detroit 2038. In that situation,
right.
A cop shows up, an old man is dead. A white guy says the black guy did it. Mm-hmm. In most situations, Marcus would still be in the same position as he is in Detroit. So, but the fact that he's a black android and it's a white human person, it's like, is it the fact, like, it's really hard for...
Oh, okay. Like, is it the fact that he's
exactly
a person of color, or is it...
Because,
or is it
if they would have played it out and he was a white android, it would have been easier for me to see, like, oh, androids are treated unfairly. But if I'm looking at from Marcus's shoes, I'm like, but you really... He is.
Well, Marcus isn't a deviant at that
become
point.
a deviant.
Yeah, he become...
No, but I'm saying when he gets shot originally.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, because you get to choose the part, because at that point, Leo is punching you or pushing you, and you can break it and become a deviant, but you don't have to...
Oh. Okay, he's like 5 seconds into his deviant thing.
Yeah, he had just become deviant. It's just kind of like...
Yeah, okay.
Besides that one part in your life, you haven't... I'm not trying to judge him, but, like, you haven't had, like, a struggle or anything like that. So, like, how do you go from being a super well-off android to being, like, the leader of this resistance movement? Like, it's insane to me, like... how he is the person that's most qualified to be in this situation. Because, like, even, like, did you guys hear freaking North's background? And she was, like,
wasn't she basic? It seemed like she had the same storyline as the Tracy from the Eden Club.
She was a sex android that just all of a sudden one day she snapped and she killed a client and then she just ran off. And, like... I can think in her situation, and this is another thing that this is a David Cage thing, but in her situation, she's probably getting abused a lot, like, you know, like, just because of how it is with sex work, you know? Like, she probably has to deal with some less than savory individuals. And, like, her feeling like they're not being treated equal is... it's an everyday occurrence for her. But, like, Marcus had this one thing, and now he's like, we're slaves. We're not treated equal, which exactly
the leader of the revolution.
Like literally every day, but one day of your life you haven't been treated that, you know, equally. And it's just, like, super convenient that it's like, let's put this black android as the face, and then we're gonna co-op all these things that are happening in current day, and it's just very messy. It's very messy. And the other thing too, like, just that I want to get it off my chest, and I didn't think about it till I read it, so that's on me because I'm not well versed in this, but, like, not both, but the Kara situation and North situation, I guess this is a thing with David Cage, where he has to portray his women as victims. So a lot of times it's domestic abuse is, like,
what part of
the part where she had to get repaired because she got destroyed by her owner.
Okay. But I just thought you were talking about, like, she's kind of at the wheel of a man in the story who drives her.
Oh, no. It's mostly just, like, their situation is, like... Okay. We have to get out of this really... like, every situation she's in, like, when she gets to Zlatko's, it's the same thing. Where it's this terrible man that's, like, trying to control her and, you know, like, take advantage of her because she's, like... you know... It's just... I did some reading about, like, their situation with... Quantic Dreams and, like, the things that they've been going through, and it's interesting. It's interesting some of the things that stay in his games, and like how he is as a developer. Because I had this quote that I had pulled up, and I don't have it right now, but let me see if I can find it real quick. Because it's pretty telling about this dude.
I mean, one thing that I saw specifically that kind of relates to what you're talking about with Marcus is the fact that, you know, with the allegations that, you know, David Cage was involved in some of the homophobic and racist comments or whatever that was going around the office at Quantic Dream. You know, his response was, "Oh, well, that's not true because we work with Ellen Page and she LGBT fights for LGBT, and we also work with Jesse Williams and he fights for, you know, he's a civil rights activist."
He said, "Judge me by my work," and I'm like, "My dude, your work's not saying anything. You're, like, just middle of the road. You are literally like, we're on the fence on this, and you can kind of choose which side you want to be on. That's what your work says."
See, we'll have to get to the end of the game, but I think he does take a little bit of a stance as far as like
it's
that stuff.
All right,
but that's later in the game.
Let's get to that because I don't know. I got really disappointed at this part, and I just was like, I was playing this game, and I was like, I like the game, but I don't like what is happening, and it just kind of like it's like a wet blanket over my enjoyment of this game. Really,
I'm more so disappointed in like how it escalates because of how quickly. Like I know this doesn't take place like within a couple of hours, but how quickly Marcus becomes like the deviant leader. Yeah, and he's like this super militant person, and then he also gains these abilities where at one point he has to verbally convince an android to become a deviant, and then
just put his hand on you.
You know, make an android become a deviant by just simply touching him. And then later on in that march,
she's just pointing fingers.
And then in this, exactly, it's like it doesn't even explain how he gets these powers.
Yeah, that scene where he was activating the stuff was a little extra, but I was gonna say he did get messed up pretty badly by the police, and I feel like I don't think he logically speaking, there's no way he should have been the Jericho leader. But the whole scene where he's in like the dumpster and like pretty much he's literally pulling himself out of the grave. You can tell like there is a factor of vengeance to him. And I think that's kind of what empowers him to do what he does, and that's what gives him the drive for the subsequent chapters.
I know where it comes from. I just don't think it's like justified. I guess is where I'm at. Because he seems so green behind.
Yeah,
like,
I can agree with that.
Like so green and so fresh, like getting to Jericho, and then like he does one mission that you play with them, and they're like, oh, like he did this heroic thing and got all these parts. Now he's in charge, and now he's like the militant leader, and then, now he's a mix between Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Like, it went like 0 to 100 in like 1.5 chapters. And
like, I agree with that, but I also think that's a lot of video games.
I guess maybe
it does get pretty video gamey.
The disappointing part is like, I felt like the game had the opportunity, and I really wanted it to say something, but then it resulted and ended up just being a video game again, and like. That's kind of where I left off at it, especially, or mostly with Marcus's story. I don't necessarily have as much of an issue with Kara and Connor's story as I do with Marcus's. Like, I don't know, like, if I could, I would have been fine with, like, maybe in a New Game Plus, like, do you want to play the game again, or do you just want to play this character's story? And I would have been like, yeah, I'll play Connor's story again, or yeah, I'll play Kara's. I'm good on Marcus, though. I'm good. Because I was thinking, like, the Marcus that you play in the beginning of the game wouldn't have been the type to be like, yo, let's go to Cyberlife and steal their stuff.
Yeah.
But he was the dude that got shot, though, and had to pull himself
out. I mean, you're not wrong, graveyard. But also I'm saying, like, I don't know.
Like, I'm just saying that event changed. Like, I get what you're saying.
You're right, it did change it, but I just felt like some of the thing, like, what about the let's break into this place and air our message? For me, like the getting shot and seeing all those other androids, sure, I want to make sure that the androids that are here at Jericho are in working condition, because I saw some messed up stuff in this android graveyard, and like I want to make sure my people are good. But going to the tower, that's not Marcus. Breaking in and killing people and airing this message out, that's not Marcus to me. But like, that's maybe just me being too protective of the Marcus that I had in my head, or I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
Hashtag not my Marcus.
Right.
Doesn't even spell his name right.
Yeah, like this standoff, like there's a couple of different ways it can go. The cops basically just like in real life, I guess. I don't know. Like they basically say, "Hey, we're not going to do what you ask us to do. You can either stay here and get bodied, or you can just disperse." And what happens for me? Oh yeah, so stand your ground, charge or leave. And I think I opt to leave, and the police still open fire. And I'm like, hell nah. So I go to I honestly, because I was so tired of this character, I opted to sacrifice myself. But because I had what's his name? Sacrificed himself for me. The android that I had got at CyberLife, he sacrificed himself for me. So my Marcus stayed alive. So yeah, my Marcus is still alive. What about you guys? What happened for your guys' games?
He got shot, but it wasn't like a fatal thing. And then somebody grabbed him, I believe, and somebody, I want to say when the person who tries to say, or the person who grabs him basically gets shot, so he kind of saves you.
Which part was this?
Freedom March.
So I chose to charge forward, and
did you just dip out?
No, I think they won. The androids.
When you took down the cops?
Like, yeah, they basically like won, and I think at that point he planted his. Was that the part where he planted his flag?
Oh no, that was later on.
Blends in.
That was yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess that chapter ends where they fend off the police, and the police surrender, or retreat.
You know what happened to yours, Dante?
I really don't know. I'd like to say I had the androids disperse at some point.
Yeah. Well, what's up? So after this, I guess you guys.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
No matter what happens, I guess you guys head back to. What am I trying to say? Jericho. You guys head back to Jericho, and so at this point, all three of the characters are at Jericho. Marcus, or let's see. So Connor, he gets no. So Kara is back at Jericho. Connor, he gets that ultimatum from Amanda, and he's basically like, "Oh, I have to put a stop to these deviants and their leader." So he has to find evidence of the location of Jericho, and he comes to, and he's in the police station with Hank, and they have just gotten kicked off the case in favor of this FBI guy, and I guess depending on how friendly you are with Hank, he will create a distraction for you so you can go to the evidence one last time to try to piece something together to get a lead. Did you guys all get this part, or because you guys were all cool with Hank, right?
He wasn't buddy enough, or I wasn't buddy enough with him for him to create the distraction, but I just did it. I think you go and open up a cell and let one of the
okay.
Yep. And that creates distraction.
I guess for the rest of us, we get to look at the previous deviants that have been on the cases and the destroyed ones, and kind of see if they knew any of the whereabouts of Jericho. And you can either like put parts in them to bring them back to life to interrogate them, or find other evidence pieces or whatever. It was a cool little sequence. You had like 11 minutes to like look over evidence that you have run through with Connor throughout the entire game in order to piece together the location. And I actually enjoyed this part. It kind of reminded me of Life is Strange when you're playing as Chloe and you get all that evidence to try and like In what's her
You're
name?
at the little board in your house or
I don't
whatever.
remember the girl's name. Yeah.
Chloe.
It reminded me of that, where it's like, okay,
it was
here's
Chloe.
everything that you've run across. Like, how do we piece this together to solve the case? So I thought that was pretty cool. And you end up finding the location of Jericho, and you see Connor doing a lot of the traversal that Marcus did to get to the ship, and then so he hops on the ship, and so now all three characters are on the ship.
Well, you can fail this too.
I didn't know you failed. Oh.
I didn't.
I didn't realize
But
that.
it's an option.
Did you fail, Trevor? Well, we ain't talking about the losers. Yeah,
Greg, did you get past it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. I got really worried though because I was like down to the last minute or something, and then I forget something just popped up, and I was like, "Oh, well,
gotcha.
This guy literally told me everything I needed to know."
Yeah, I think I switched the parts. I can't remember who it was, but Ralph was in there. I really wanted to reactivate Ralph, but I ended up reactivating the blue-haired Tracy, and she actually wouldn't talk to me. So I had to go and basically take the other Tracy's head off and make it look like I was her, just so that she would talk to me. And then she told me the whereabouts of Jericho, and I didn't want to do this, but the game made me. But I guess the blue-haired Tracy realizes that you're not actually the other Tracy, and then she starts to freak out and yeah.
I didn't have either of those
Killed her,
characters,
didn't you?
so I didn't run into, or I didn't kill the girl, and I didn't see Ralph. So for me, like, I broke the RA9 statue, and there was evidence inside of it, and then I took the parts out of the black android and put, or the white android from the epilogue, and I put it in the black android, the dude that was not him, because he couldn't work, the other one, the other android. I don't remember now, but yeah, and I was able to get the location of so I only had like 2 evidence pieces that I had to go through. It was really cool though, doing that part. I enjoyed it.
Isn't this the section where like part of the decision you make is like whether you want to try and find Jericho, or if you want to find more about
I don't know,
as an RA9 or something like that? Because I felt like there's this decision you make here kind of changes like his that percentage. What is it again? I forget now.
I actually did
The
not
instability?
know.
Yeah.
I could probably guess that it would.
I believe because the choice I made was just to try and find Jericho, but thinking back on it, I was like, oh, if I would have done the other thing, then it's basically going to increase his instability, and it's like you're trying to find out, more about RA9, but...
So the guide I'm looking at is pretty good about marking things that affect instability, and it doesn't seem like there's anything in this chapter. But I know there's definitely some RA9 stuff around this part.
Ultimately though, after this chapter, it leaves everybody at the Jericho ship. So from this chapter on, these last 3 chapters, you're hopping between the characters. It gets a little confusing to try to explain it, so we'll try to do our best. Basically, Connor's mission, once he gets to the Jericho ship, is he wants to meet the leader of the Deviants, and he has an important decision to make once he meets him. For Kara, like I said, Rose has taken her and Luther and Alice to the Jericho ship, and they have to meet with the leader of the Deviants and get the electronic passports. Is Marcus alive for all of us at this point? Yeah. So he can die at the
I didn't know he could be dead.
So,
he can definitely die.
I guess he's alive for all of us. He's the leader of the Deviants. if he died, then it becomes North, which I couldn't find. I believe you don't get to play as North. You just watch it play out when it goes to Marcus's parts. So it's still, you get to see what happens, but it's just being played out with North instead of Marcus, and it's just played out through cutscenes. But you're basically waiting out at the Jericho ship to plan the next move that your crew is going to make. So it, like I said, this main part, it's hopping between Kara and Connor. So Kara, she finds a warm spot for Alice to chill. She kind of like, yo, Luther, keep an eye on her. I'm gonna go look for the leader and talk to him about these passports. You end up finding Marcus, and you're just like, hey, I got me, a little girl, and another person. We're trying to go to Canada. We heard that you could help us score some electronic passports. He's like, yeah, we had a guy that used to work for this thing. He can get you set up. And you're like, all right, bet. And you're supposed to be getting these passports, but he's like, just sit tight or whatever. And when you head back, you see a girl, and it looks just like Alice, but it's not Alice. But also, this girl is an android. And at that point, you realize, oh crap, Alice has been an android this entire time. I forgot to mention, Luther wanted to tell you something before you left, but you were like, hold up, tell me when you get back. So when you get back, he sees you looking at this girl. He's like, yeah, like, we didn't know, or like, I guess I can't, like, you didn't know. What are you gonna do? And at that point, you get the option to keep treating Alice the way you've been treating her the entire game, and just embrace her, and basically your role as like being a mother figure for her, even though you both are androids. Or you can, I guess, denounce her. I don't really know what happens. I'm assuming everybody like still embrace Alice. You guys aren't monsters, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we just... Okay, I need my own aside right now. So, this was the one... I shouldn't say the one thing, but this was the biggest, like, middle finger to me in this game. I just don't feel... Like, they were doing so much with Alice and Kara and their relationship as a human with an android, and then they just went and undermined all
Alice
of it.
Alice the android, you mean?
Alice a human, I felt like. Alice an android, yes, sorry. And it just upset me so bad. Like, I wasn't mad that she was an android. I was mad that I thought they did a really good job making Alice evolve and care for Kara as a character. But then they just, for almost no reason whatsoever, decide, oh, well, let's make it so Alice is a android as well.
Go ahead.
And it just really rubbed me the wrong way.
I guess. I was saying, I guess they just do it just to kind of add that emotional aspect to like the end of the game. Maybe. I mean, that's the only justification I can think of. Like, I
feel like it diminishes, like, without going too much into the ending. Like, I feel like if Alice was a human and the stuff happened,
I don't think it's any more or any less impactful, because it's not Alice's story, it's Kara's story. And I think like the main thing is like every character has a different way of showing you that androids are capable of being seen as humans. So I guess with all of them, there's this sense of showing empathy. And then I guess for Marcus, we want to be treated equally with everybody, human or android. Connor is like, even though this person, like, we don't know this person's side of the story, so instead of being so quick to judge, we should hear them out before we judge them or whatever. And then I guess with Kara, it's mostly like, I can show empathy for our weakest people, or I don't know, like, this is a little girl and she gets to become like a mother figure and literally like...
See,
be a mother for this girl.
I agree with that aspect, but I also think, in my mind, what Alice represented was hope for the future.
Mm-hmm.
She is literally like the youngest person you run into in the game, and it was kind of just her arc was showing, hey, maybe if people are raised this way, this won't be a thing in 20, 30 years where we think of androids as different
Be
from
an
us.
android.
And then to have her be an android, it kind of got rid of that because you're not really dealing with a human who would have had that weariness, quote unquote, even at a young age. So yeah, that was my personal like, what are you doing with
I
the
didn't think
story
about
right
it like
now?
that, and
moment.
I think you're right. The more annoying, not more annoying, but a part now thinking about it that's frustrating is like how good.
Like the one reason I could see them doing that twist was for anybody that was on the fence being like, oh well, I'm not sympathetic for the androids. Most people would have been sympathetic with Alice throughout the game, and then
It's
for
like
her
pulling
to
the
be
rug out from the people that
in Android, they were like,
have
oh
cared.
well, I guess I did care. But I'm just wondering how many
It's
people.
like me wondering how many people
would
don't
like that.
understand
I
or
don't know.
don't see the parallels between the androids and black people. I
feel
agree
like
with
you'd
what you're
have to be
saying.
blind
It's
not to.
actually it's a little bit more telling. It's like how good is Kara at her job if she can't tell what a human is compared to an android? It's like, oh, you're supposed to feed a human, and I never saw her eat, but she must have eaten. You know, like.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was just like, man, as much as like even Ralph
Yeah.
believed she was a human.
It's just like, I mean, we all thought she was human too.
Yeah, when we were discussing this the other day, or I guess it was 2 weeks ago at this point, I ended up thinking about this because I knew the pretty much end of the story, and I started Googling, like, how did Kara not know about Alice and eating? And essentially, I think this all happens really, really fast over the course of a couple days.
The other
Even
thing
though it
is
doesn't
like,
seem like it because you're moving around
how
so much.
was I'm going back to my notes to see the names I have written down. How was Todd able to afford 2 androids? He lived in a trap house.
Does this make Alice a deviant? Because she doesn't have the little LED thing on her temple.
Well,
I
there's
think
no
the
way
child
because the
models
other
are
one
like
you
a
saw had the
special
LED
thing or
thing.
something.
Yeah, that's how you realize that she's an android.
She did? Maybe Todd removed? I remember this being addressed somehow, but I don't remember specifically.
Because I was thinking what you said, if she's a deviant, she does a really good job of being a human, or like acting like an innocent human little girl.
Well, okay, so I know Greg
Magazines.
and Trevor didn't read the little pamphlets or whatever, but there was one specifically on like a child android model, and it's like, oh well, it's so realistic, and
I didn't read that one either.
You're allowed to feed it, and it does stuff, and
that's what I'm
And
trying
why
to
would Todd even want
what daughter?
a child android?
Oh wait, I guess
it replaces his daughter.
I didn't think about that. Then yeah, I guess
he had a daughter.
She was the stand-in, but then again, still, how did he afford it? And how did he hate androids if he had 2 in his house?
Maybe, like, I don't know. I don't want to go too much into Todd's backstory, just speculating, but there's a chance, remember how he was all mad because didn't his job get taken away by androids? So maybe he was wealthy and then just really got messed up after the android, quote-unquote, I don't know. I'm just speculating at this point. But
anyways, yeah, that's the twist for her story.
Anyway, we should probably continue.
For Connor, you end up finding the leader. So in our case, it's Marcus, and you guys have a showdown. and I think this is you get to control both of them and like answer like they're having a conversation. You can kind of answer for both of them, and at this point, at least for me, Connor has the option to go deviant or remain a machine. Do you guys know what you guys chose?
I became deviant.
Okay, I stayed a machine.
Yeah, same.
Deviate up.
Well,
Dang.
What?
Yeah, it's
What?
Connor.
Oh, you were
Connor,
just
I
trying
stayed
to
a
end
machine.
it. Or wait, no,
Because
Connor.
I figured it would be a more interesting story.
Why?
Remember how I told you I wanted to be more like a movie? So this was more like this was the movie choice for me. So I wanted to stay as a machine because I wanted Marcus to have like a folly, I guess you could say. I didn't want Marcus to get too comfortable.
If they made Detroit Become Human the movie, which one, that would never happen, but two, if they did, I could not imagine Connor
If they did,
staying.
first of all, his
Android.
partner would stay anti-android the entire movie. And also, I think it would probably be more ambiguous, where you think it's a human the entire time, but then at the end you find out it's an android that is actually, you think Connor is a human the entire time, then you find out he's an android. Well, I was gonna say Blade
So
Runner.
like the Inception
Actually what I was
ending,
trying to
just
say.
the entire movie's like that.
But yeah, I left Marcus as a I'm trying to go to. I'm sorry, I left Connor as an android because like I said, I thought it was going to be more interesting. Trying to see the decisions I made with him to get to that point. Okay. Anyways, whatever. Anyways, at that point, I think it's the FBI attacks Jericho and they infiltrate it, and then everybody starts scattering, and so I don't remember. Marcus is running along, and he runs into each of his crew members, and you get the option to like save or leave them. Did you guys save everybody? Did you leave anybody behind? I saved everybody.
Yeah, I saved everybody.
Who'd you not?
I
even
tried to save everybody.
No. We're saying as
Luther.
Marcus. Yeah.
Oh, as Marcus?
Can I say one thing too? Another thing I
I
don't like
saved
about
everybody.
Marcus
Yeah.
is North is my least favorite character in this game, and she becomes like the love interest of this dude, and it didn't make any sense to me because I'm trying to be peaceful as Marcus, and she's like the best way I can describe it is she just like she's supposed to be by any means necessary the Malcolm X, but I don't know. Have you guys been listening to the Waypoints about the Purge movies? So there's one where there's this like this white girl. I think it's in the first movie, and I never watched these movies, but she sees all this purging going on around her, and she's never done it. And by the end of the movie, she's like, "I'm ready to purge," and it's like, I feel like that's what North wants to do in this game. Is she just really just wants to kill people, not necessarily for any reason. Like any situation that she wants there to be some type of action, you could easily do the non-violent, diplomatic way and not have to kill anybody. And she always is unapproving of that every single time. And it just doesn't make any sense to me that those two ship together. Does that make any sense to you guys?
I understand what you're saying, but maybe that
See, love's a weird thing sometimes for some people.
There you go, people. For androids, I don't think they really care. Like at the end of the day, they're still made of the same components.
See, it baffles me like the same way some people can be like, oh well, I'm a Democrat,
our votes
my
just
wife
cancel
is
each
like a
other
hardcore
out.
Republican type of thing, and they just kind of yeah, people do that, and it blows my mind because I'm like, I don't think I could connect to somebody on the other side on a very deep level about a lot of things. maybe that's a failing as me. I don't know, but I don't know. I did think it was weird, and I did notice it too.
Yeah. So
but I also was like, well,
like for me,
I don't know.
She trusted me and all this stuff, which I didn't understand, and it was almost like my same distaste for her as a character was like my distaste for Miranda in Mass Effect 2. Where it's like, oh, like most people are like, yo, dead ass, and this is the girl, and this is the one, and I just couldn't stand that character. And it's same with this character, and of course, like she's the only character you can get with as Marcus or whatever. And as far as I know,
oh really? Oh, I was thinking
trying to get with Josh.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, I was just like, man, Josh. They were kind of staring at each other for a long time.
She ends up like, did she give you guys the dirty bomb? The detonator? The detonator?
I think so. You're talking about, she tells you about her backstory? Oh, no, we're talking about something else. My bad, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this was
to blow up.
Yeah.
So,
no, this one's to blow up.
Before the place gets raided, one of your last alone time with her, and this is where I left her cold too. She said, yeah, like I changed some people and some deviants or whatever, and they rigged this bomb somewhere in the city, and I got the detonator, and I thought maybe it'd be better if I bring it to you, and so you can opt to take it from her or not. So I took it from her, but you don't have to use it, you just have it on you. And then that's how I saw it. I was like, this chick is unhinged.
To prevent her from
using it. And then, like, the next option after that, or really close, is to kiss her. I didn't. I did not. It's like, no, this is not happening. And, so I just wanted to get that out the way. So, yeah, like, Jericho is being overrun. I did save everybody, and you guys are able to get out Kara. So Kara and Alice and Luther kind of get separated, and I think Luther gets shot in the leg, and he's like, leave me behind or whatever, and Alice doesn't, but you know it's better if you do, so you kind of leave him. He said you plan a spot to meet up at, and then immediately you're hit with some choices where it's like, oh, you lock yourself in this hole, and then somebody's banging on the door to let him in, and I mean, you already know Alice is going to be like, let them in, help them out. So did you guys let him in or not? Alice will remember that.
Nope.
I let him in.
And
they immediately got bodied, and then you had to fight a cop, and then there was another section, I think, with interrupting.
It seemed like pretty much every.
This is a pretty cool escape.
What'd you say?
Go ahead,
I was
Trevor.
just gonna say, it seems like every opportunity that you have to help somebody out, or help the androids out, it just turns into
basically
combat scenario.
You ended up, all these soldiers are shooting to kill these androids to like to squash the rebellion, and you get close to the end, and I think you could opt to run away or like to give up. Did you guys run away or give up?
I gave up.
Yeah.
I kept trying to run.
I tried to play dead at some point.
I think that's what I did, but eventually just leads to they still get you.
Well,
so
maybe they got you.
Oh, that's what it was?
I ended up running away, got shot.
I think there's a couple options after you play dead.
It's like, get up and keep running. Play dead. Give up. So I got up and tried to keep running. I guess you did too, Trevor. And so, damn, man. I shot Alice first. I was like, they shot Alice first. And I felt so bad. Yeah, dude. Both Kara and Alice got bodied in my game. I don't know. Luther was still alive, but I don't know what happened.
Did you have Luther alive at that point?
Yeah. It was really.
So
really,
Kara and
really
Alice
sad,
both
dude.
died there.
It was
Wow.
Really sad.
Wow.
And I'm like, I feel you, Dante, but like this, I felt something. Like I was like, I don't care if she's just an android. It meant something. She's real to me, damn it.
Oh no, I mean,
Yeah,
it still mattered to me. I was just upset
so,
from a narrative perspective. Like, I still cared about Alice a lot.
So Alice and
as
Kara
we will come to find out,
died
not
in my
too
game,
long
and
from now.
I don't know what happened with Luther because, like I said, he was supposed to meet up with me at a spot, and
So, when Luther got shot
I
in the
pulled him
leg,
into the room.
did you pull him into that room or did you leave him right there? Oh, that's weird. Cause when I got outside of the Jericho, I tried to run. They shot me. I fell. Tried to run again. They shot me again, and I fell. And then it gave me another chance, and I was just like, man, I can't go 0-3. So I tried to run again. And at that point, Luther came out of nowhere and attacked the two police that were shooting me.
Yeah, so like my
but then they ended up killing him.
Luther, help Luther, get Luther to safety, and leave Luther hidden. So I did all that.
I don't know how he didn't come back.
So yeah, that's the end of my Kara and Alice story. So you guys got that from now on.
Yeah. So, well, you said you did the flee option, right?
So it says Kara flees,
Okay,
soldier
fail
shoot
to
the car, run away, Kara shot in the leg, and then you can crawl, and so I did crawl or get up, and I did get up, and Alice is shot, and Kara fails to get up.
Oh man. So I can't remember.
Oh.
Do you remember the exact circumstances of why we were playing dead? Because Greg, we had to run away too, according to this, or flee.
Yeah. Let me look.
Because I'm looking in, like, there's a play dead and don't move option, and then there's also a defend Alice option. And I know I chose the don't move.
Silence.
So I'm scrolling through mine trying to look.
Yeah. In the meantime, so...
Yeah, I tried to
So
get
instead
up.
of playing dead, you ran Marcus, right? And that... Okay, that explains... Okay. So... I guess Luther dies right before this, at least he did for me. Where... I can't remember if he, like, took a bullet or... He did something to allow me to play dead or run. And, essentially, remaining still allows you to leave with Alice and, Kara still alive.
Okay, so on mine, Kara got shot in the leg, then gets hit in the face when she tries to get back up, and then Alice intervenes, and then both of y'all get captured.
Okay, so you got captured.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing your Luther
RP,
must have
my
been
dude.
dead at that point.
Yeah, he got shot.
Okay. Alright. Well,
Okay,
that's
and then
on the next chapter, I
I'm
guess.
trying to think. So Marcus and them get out alive, and actually, this is crazy, dude. So there's like so many different beginnings of the next chapter depending on what happens. So I know for me, Marcus is alive and Carl is dead. So I start the chapter paying respects at his gravesite. Do you know what your guys' situations were? So Marcus is alive, and Carl, the owner, or his, his.
Who was dead?
So here's the beginnings that I could
Oh, yeah.
see. So Marcus is alive.
So
and
mine
Carl
was
is
still
alive, so then you
alive,
go to
but
Carl's
I think
house.
he dies.
And that's the welcome home story. And then there's
Yep.
one if Marcus
That's
is
what happened with
dead
me.
and Connor becomes deviant. Then you skip a meeting place and you start off at that android church. And then the one if Marcus is dead and Connor remains a machine, then you start off at Hank's house. And then there's another one with Jericho not even being attacked. I don't know. But
which I
do you
guess
know
Connor
what,
would have to
did you
fail
know
for
what
that
you
to
got,
happen,
Trevor?
probably. Yeah.
And then Greg, do you know about you?
Yeah, I was at the gravesite.
Okay.
Went back
Yeah,
to.
so no matter what happens, he
was
dies.
it Welcome
in your
Home,
guys'
where he goes
game,
back
right?
to
The house.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Who,
sure
Carl?
he does.
Carl.
Oh, hold up, and you're
And
saying
then you
does
guys
Marcus
go to the
die, or we're
Android
talking
church
about Carl?
where everybody's holed up.
I think Carl
and
dies.
you basically talk to
Yeah.
everybody, then you give that rousing speech to get them
Yeah.
together. Correct. I did not have Connor
Yeah.
there.
And I'm guessing you didn't have Connor there.
Yeah,
because
so for
you let
me,
him- okay. Connor was there with us, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think you play as Connor in that chapter at all. I think it's just Marcus. Wait, actually no, I did play as Connor. This is, oh yeah, so for me, for Connor, you meet up with Amanda and she's like super disappointed, and I think she wants to take over you or something like that.
Disappointed at what? You did exactly what she wanted you to do.
Yeah, because I didn't kill Marcus, so she's
Well, I
like,
guess
"You
'cause
got
you
one
didn't
out,
kill
you take a
Marcus.
chance. Don't mess this up." So then the final chapter. What happens with Carl in this chapter? Because I have no idea. She is? Okay. So
She's
does she go to the place with Marcus?
Yeah.
then?
Yeah.
Oh
she is,
wait,
'cause I
no,
remember
because
talking
can't
to
she
her.
be at the? Because they have So we'll talk about Marcus's.
I'm pretty sure, like, the only thing you do with Cars in this chapter is potentially apologize to her as Connor.
Hold on, we're talking about at the church part, or
Yeah.
yeah. So she's not in my story. She's not in church because she got captured already.
So
Yeah.
But me and Trevor.
Yeah,
had her
you guys
still
go
at this
back
point.
out into the streets and you're marching, and I think you run into a let's see, what is it? I'm trying to go to Marcus.
Who are you starting as for Battle for Detroit? Okay. So yeah, this is where everything's kind of reaching its climax, and this is kind of your last.
And basically, I don't
stand
remember
against
what
the humans
happens, but
is
you
Marcus.
guys get surrounded, and
So
like you set up like a
you're kind of like in the center of the
exactly,
town
and
square or
then,
something like that, right?
I'm trying-
A barricaded area.
Wait, did all of y'all choose to
I fought
to
peacefully.
fight peacefully or to attack?
Oh yeah, that's what happened. So you're going to they have a camp that they're
I
taking
was
all
peaceful.
these robot or androids that they rounded up, and they're killing them there, disassembling them or whatever, ending their lives. And so you guys march there to the gate, and the media is there, and the military or the army or whatever doesn't want to make a scene, so that you guys peacefully protest, because they're going to open fire on you guys, and this is another opportunity for you to raise your fist or hands up and like declare how peaceful you are and you're peacefully protesting, aware of,
And this is a point where human, or at least the government society has decided,
and they're aware
hey,
of
we're getting rid of androids
your guys'
completely, right?
issues. And so the military puts their guns away, and you guys barricade up in front of the gate, and the media is all there, and they have helicopters and everything, and they're covering the media.
Hold on, what?
Dang.
I definitely didn't have it in mind. I'm thinking about that.
Is Marcus still alive in your game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about the final chapter, right?
Yeah.
So in mine, we go to the recall center and basically try and
It sounds like you did the
infiltrate
peaceful
that,
way. You did
and a big
Okay,
gunfight
well, that's
starts out
why.
and all that. Yeah, no, I didn't.
Interesting.
Yeah, I wasn't peaceful either.
So how did your guys go?
There's basically this big war between the humans and the androids, the soldiers.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Did anybody win?
yeah,
Yeah.
the androids won in mine.
Yeah. So in mine, all this happened at the same time as Alice and Kara, they're about to get, I guess, recycled or whatever. So there's this whole thing in between them. They're trying to stay together, but they're separating them, and so there's like a little bit of a thing where you got to try and get back with Alice. So you're doing that, and while you're doing that, Marcus is infiltrating, trying to do that, and there's all these like kind of quick time events where you got to set up cover for yourself so you can move forward and do a bunch of other stuff.
Man,
yeah,
it's actually pretty cool.
There were some game mechanics added.
Yeah.
So this entire last chapter with Alice is completely different from me, but oh my gosh, that's crazy that you guys.
And did we talk about the Connor part? Because that was the other thing that I think mine might have been a little bit different.
I think we should wait until after Marcus finds out the Marcus stuff.
Okay.
Because there's a big thing with Connor with us at least.
Yeah, Connor.
Yeah.
That happens.
Okay, so for mine,
goes some places in mine.
Marcus creates the barricade, and he is basically, like making sure everybody's in a good spot or whatever. And at this point, it flips over to Connor, and he's standing on a rooftop, and he has a sniper that he's setting up, and he is basically going to shoot. He's going to snipe Marcus in the base that he's in the bunker he set up, and then the door gets kicked down, and Hank shows up, and Hank's basically like, "I'm not going to let you do this." And then you guys talk, and that's where this is when I found out about Hank's kid right here, and yeah, so it didn't seem appropriate, like this, because basically the question was why do you hate androids, or like why do you hate androids, and then he's like, this thing happened and all this stuff. So basically he's like, I'm not gonna let you do this. And I just ended up standing down and just saying like, all right, fine, I won't do this. And then I just walk away. And that's basically where I think I end up going back with Connor later, back into the Cyberlife situation with Amanda. And she's going to take over... we'll skip that. But anyways, then this guy from the camp shows up, and he's basically like, "Hey, who's your leader?" And you're like, "Me." And he's like, "I want to talk to you." And then at first you're like, "Yes or no?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm good." And then he's like, "Well, how are you gonna be able to meet your demands, or blah blah blah? Like, we're not gonna give you anything if you don't meet me." So I went out there to meet him. And he basically was like, here's the offer. You guys give up. Everybody on your crew with you right now, they will be spared, and only them. And I'm thinking, like, I don't know how many thousands of androids there are, but you're basically saying we're going to spare like 100 androids? I was like, that's probably not cool. So I was like, nah, I'm good. And he's like, oh, so you want your people to just get run over? Because we'll just run our tanks through and body you guys. And I was like, I'm not going to, turn my back on my people. So then I went back into the bunker, and everybody's like, what happened? What happened? And then you just see the tanks start rolling into the base. And then we get surrounded in the media. Like, the camera is, like, on us, and we're about to, like... we get overrun, and people are like, soldiers are climbing in and start shooting at us, and I'm like doing all the quick time events to save everybody and like block them from getting shot by bullets or everything, and knocking over soldiers. And then we end up getting surrounded, and then I can't believe I did this. I'm sorry, I'm going against everything I said, but I kiss North. So we get surrounded, and it's almost like any
Kiss
last
North?
words, and all the cameras are on us, the
man.
media and all that, and then we're about to get executed, and I just step front, and me and North, then we kiss, and this is on live TV, and the president sees that, and she calls in, she's like, stop this, don't let this happen. And so they end up not executing Marcus and North and all those people, and then he's able to. It flashes forward, and he's like standing on top of a podium or whatever. Okay.
So let me at least like intermingle what happened in my game. So I pretty much had verbatim what you did until the whole like you get cornered with your people or whatever, and I chose the sing option.
What?
Yeah, so there's a sing option, and it's fine. You guys can call me a sap or whatnot, but I teared up a little bit.
Yeah, I do.
Marcus apparently has a very good singing voice. Maybe that's something that's inherent to androids. But pretty much the president sees that, the media sees it, and they're like, "No, we can't shoot these people." So,
was it an?
Yeah, and it pretty much leads
was it an old Negro spiritual?
Of course it was.
I mean, it was more of a black church gospel type thing, and I mean, yes, but it was really good, and it worked in that moment.
I did see the sing option on my game, but I didn't pick it.
Hold On is the name of the song. Okay. The song was not written for the game, but is a real-world song.
Of course it is.
A real-world order gospel song. Hold on just a little while longer.
And then for me, so then Marcus gives this speech, and, oh, I'm sorry. So while that stuff is happening, No. So while that, yeah. Right? So while that's happening with Marcus, Connor is back in the CyberLife area, and basically, what's her name says that she's taking control of Amanda's going to take control of Connor and end this, and so you are like basically in a blizzard in that area, and you have to get out, and it flashes back to a section that says like when you were with Kamsky, and he basically says I always left a failsafe in every one of my machines, and so you end up getting, or you have to have a timer, I guess, before you get lost and get taken control of, to find that failsafe. And so I end up finding the failsafe in that area, and then it ends my machineness, and now I'm a deviant, and I'm one of those faces. Connor is one of the faces in the crowd as Marcus is giving this speech to all the androids and people. So my game ends with Connor basically becoming a deviant. What stuff?
Did you do any of the stuff at CyberLife with Connor? With the clone? What?
Yeah, so that's what I think that's what happened in our playthroughs.
Yeah, I did a sniper thing.
Yeah, because you said you were at like a sniper thing, and so okay, that makes sense. Okay, this all makes sense, and I can explain it now. Since we were at the church, and Connor was quote unquote on a path to redemption, they give him a task that only he could do to infiltrate CyberLife for do you guys remember the purpose of him
basically
going to
convert all of the androids there?
Yes, he was going to convert deviants at CyberLife, or convert the androids into deviants at CyberLife.
Yep.
To, add to the resistance's numbers. So you pretty much go there, you get on an elevator, and you end up... Do you take out an actual dude, or just, like, some android?
No, I think those are dudes on there.
Yeah. Connor goes ham. Like, he is just beating the living daylights out of these people on this elevator. You end up getting to either the top floor or the bottom floor. I can't really remember where they have everybody stored.
I think it said negative 50 something, 50th floor. So it went back down.
And you're on your way to, like, activate all of the androids in there and make them become deviants.
Oh, wait. I got to tell Marcus
about this. When another Connor model appears.
Wait, who
so,
did?
Marcus, you would have loved this, but he had a Jackie Chan moment where, Connor, where he basically, Connor, like, takes down, like, you have to choose, a path to take down the the two guards in the elevator with you, and like after he has this choreographed fight scene with them, he gets all the way to the bottom floor or the floor that he's getting off of on the elevator, and realizes there was a camera there the whole time. Because he tries like when he has to change the floor that he's going to, you have an option to imitate one of the guards' voices, and so I did it in order to keep my identity concealed, but they were actually watching the whole time.
That seems pretty good, and what follows is also really good. So you get to the bottom, you're starting to get in the process of activating all of these androids and turning them into deviants. But then another Connor model shows up out of nowhere pretty much. And is this the part where you just start getting into like a fist fight with them more or less?
Whoa, that didn't happen to me.
I didn't get in a fist fight with him, but
yeah.
You guys had Hank with you eventually, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't with me. The clone basically comes out of nowhere with Hank as a hostage.
Yep.
That's right. Okay. And pretty much, you have to convince Hank that you're the Connor he actually knows.
Oh, I didn't have to do that.
Wait. So maybe we did have a...
what was your reputation with Hank? Oh.
Really good.
I don't know then.
Like really,
well,
really
that might be
really
why,
good.
I guess, but...
Oh.
Mine wasn't.
So tell me what happened
as
in
I'm
yours,
converting that first android, one of the CyberLife androids, the other Connor comes out and he has Hank at gunpoint, and Hank is like, he's like, "Sorry, Connor, he's a spitting image of you." And so I guess like he basically tricked him into thinking he was the same Connor. And I guess at that point, that's when he realizes, you're the actual Connor. And so there was never any argument about who was the real Connor.
Really? Is that what happened with yours, Greg?
Yeah.
Okay. So in mine, from what I remember, and I could be wrong, I thought me and the other Connor were getting into it a little bit, and then Hank showed up with a gun, and then at some point he's just like, "Stop, I don't know which of you is which, but I'm about to figure it out." And then he just asked you some very like personal questions, and I managed to get him right, so he knew I was the actual Connor, and he ends up shooting the other model.
So I failed miserably on this section, and the clone ends up killing Hank, and then...
Oh, no.
So I didn't fail. I just told him to kill him.
I think I told him to kill him.
I was like, I'm still here to do my job. So, I'm about to, about to get these androids free.
I think I told him to kill Hank, but the part that I failed on was when you have a chance to convert the other Connor. And I messed up on the button prompt.
So Hank died in both of your games?
Yep.
Oh man!
I mean, it was either that or I think Connor wouldn't have been able to convert the other androids.
In the process of trying to do that in my game, Connor gets shot and he dies too. So
yeah, but after he shoots Connor, and Connor is he's on his last breath. He's just like, "Oh, well, you've already lost." And that android that he had already touched and converted starts touching the next android next to him, and then that one touches the next one next to him, and then they all end up converting each other.
Oh, so at least they still got all devianted up or whatever. So
yeah,
moral victory. But yeah, mine pretty much went out like I said, and Hank ends up shooting the fake Connor. My Connor activates all of the other androids. And then he shows up where Marcus was saying during Marcus's speech.
In your game, who died, Greg? That's it.
Connor and Hank died.
And Luther, right? And then Trevor, who died in yours?
As far as the main characters, I guess. Yeah.
Oh,
we haven't even finished talking about Kara's.
I thought Kara died in yours.
I still got a whole storyline. No.
Oh, so, okay, go ahead.
Luther died. Yeah. So while all this is going on, in my game, Marcus is leading the war against the soldiers. Kara is actually trying to find a way to get to Canada still, and she ends up going to the bus station, and they're doing checkpoints at the bus station, or along the way to the bus station. They're doing checkpoints and basically executing any androids that they come in contact with. So there's a couple of stealth situations that you have to do, and then you have a chance. Like it actually times you. I think you have like 20 minutes in order to get to the bus station, and it ends up giving you two options where you can either let me see. You can either try to go straight to the bus route or the bus station, or you can take a different route that's safer and less risky, and you avoid guards, but that one takes you 11 minutes, and it takes 11 minutes off your time. So depending on how stealthy you were in the other section, and if you helped any other androids that you came in contact with, that determines how much time you have left. So I ended up getting to the bus station. I took the safe route, didn't help any other androids on the way there. Alice hated me. Once I got to the bus station, Dante's back.
Hello.
But once I got to the bus station, there was actually, still another checkpoint there. They were only letting people through if they had tickets. So, your next task is to go and find some tickets. And of course, Alice is going to hate you because you got to, lift them off of somebody. But I end up running into this family. It's a mother and father, and then they have a little baby. And they end up dropping an envelope that has all their tickets in it. And Kara just kind of does that little thing where she, when somebody drops $1 or something, and you step on it real quick, and then you slide it towards yourself. That's basically what she did.
Did you use that to your advantage?
Yeah, I took them, and then the couple actually comes back, and they're like, "Hey, you haven't seen an envelope with our tickets in it, have you? Like, we really need those. We're trying to get out of here. It's cold. We're not gonna survive here." And Carl's just like, "Nope, haven't seen it." And they ask again, and then Alice kind of looks at you, and like, you should give him back the tickets, but I didn't. Instead, I got on the bus, left, and got to the I guess the border. I forget what you call the building that separates the border where they check your passports.
Oh, that's messed up. I know what's going to happen because of what happened with Marcus in your game.
But yeah, I get there, and even they're still doing checks because you have the passports that you got from Marcus, but they're checking to make sure nobody that's crossing the border is an android, and when you know it, Rose is in line. Rose and Adam are in line to go across the border. So you kind of give them the signal, and y'all meet up in the bathroom. And Kara basically tells Rose, like, "Hey, if things go south, I need you to watch Alice for me." And Rose agrees, and they go back out there and get in line. And basically Rose and Adam are in there because I guess they're guilty for helping the androids, so they're basically fugitives too, and they're on the run. But they get back in line, and of course Kara and Alice get to the front of the line, and they see that Kara sees that they're scanning everybody to make sure they're not androids, and she basically doesn't even want to, or my character, I don't want to take the chance of them finding out that Kara and Alice are androids. So I don't know how this should have worked, or if it could have worked with Kara, but Kara sends Alice over to Rose to go and wait with her in line. They're in a different line, and Kara walks up to the booth, and they scan her, and she just kind of takes a step back and puts her hands up. And then, you know, the guy tells the guards, hey, she's an android, and they immediately gun her down. And then Alice is with Rose, and they walk up to the booth, and they basically say, you know, they give the guy their passports, and the guy looks at Alice, and he starts to scan them, and then he's just like, oh, you're good, going ahead, because I guess he sees Alice crying because of what happened to Kara, so he doesn't even scan them, he just lets them go. And they cross the border, and that is the end of their story.
For you, that is.
Oh, well, yeah.
So, did you go into the part, like, before you get to the bus stop, where you're, like, sneaking around Metal Gear Solid style, and it's like, okay. I was making sure. That was pretty dark in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Like, a couple people asking you for help.
Yeah, I told you. I've passed up everybody. It's like, Alice, we don't have time for this.
So, that all happens, and I get to the bus station or whatever. I get the envelope, and me being the dude I am, I give it back to the people. So, they get on the bus, and I'm like, well, I'm kind of stuck here now. Out the corner of my eye, I see Rose and her son. I talk to them a little bit, and they give me this information about a boat. And they're like, you can take this boat, and you should be able to get across the border because it's, like, right over there. And I'm like, sure. So they drive you over. You get to the edge of the little lake or whatever. And there's a prompt there. This is the one prompt in this game that upsets me more than anything else in this game. Kara puts her hand in the water, and it's like, okay, this water's cold. It's cold enough that my body won't function in it. So I'm like, okay, that's some good information. I get on my boat. There's about 3 or 4 other boats in the water, and then you see a patrol boat come out of nowhere, and you see pretty much all 3 of the other boats get gunned down, and you're like, well, I guess I'm next. And I think they give you 4 options. It's like, hide Alice, hide yourself, duck, or jump in water. And I'm like, well, I was a good adventure game player. I examined the water before, so I know that can't possibly be the correct option, because I'll die if I go in the water. And I'm like, well, I need to protect Alice no matter what. I think there's a way for us to both get out of this alive. So I think I chose... No, I didn't actually choose the duck option. I chose protect Alice. So essentially, Kara like huddles herself over Alice. The boat shoots at us. Like, it gets me in the spine or whatever. I get over to the other side of the shore because they think I'm dead. And I am dying as Kara. And pretty much once we get off the boat, I think I am given 3 minutes until shutdown or whatever for androids. So I pretty much have my last words with Alice and being like, hey, well, at least you're over here. You need to be strong. You need to make it out there. And then my Kara dies. The correct option, if you want to get both of them to survive, is to jump into the water. And it just made me so mad because I was like, you gave me this information that my body can't survive in water. And then you use that against me. But, yeah, that's pretty much how my Kara Alice story ended up, and that's where my game ended as well.
Did yours differ any, Greg? I said,
what was that?
Differ any?
With Kara and Alice? Yeah, it was the thing where they were at that recycling camp or whatever. And like I said, they split them up there, and it's kind of like this thing of they're trying to stay together. They're both scared. They don't really know what's happening. They don't know. So basically when they get there, there's a thing of the soldiers make them strip down and take their skin off, basically. So then now they just kind of look like, robots or androids. They line them up, and it looks almost like like a concentration camp like thing, because you see all these people just lined up, just walking towards like basically imminent death, right? And so, and again, that's all happening while Marcus is trying to take over take that over. So, but anyway, eventually Marcus ends up taking over the camp and saves all the androids.
Weird.
So Alice and Kara survived in your game.
Okay. Yeah. So, and it was one of those things where it was like at the last second, so they're walking in about to be recycled, and then that's when you see some of the androids come in, and then they don't have to walk, and then they turn around and they're like, oh, we're saved, and then that's kind of how that ends.
So in Trevor's ending, if he chose the pacifist route when he got over to the border, I'm pretty sure Alice or Kara would have been fine. But since he had a negative public opinion, that's why she got shot down.
Well, I had two options. It was either sacrifice or no sacrifice. And I don't know what would have happened if I chose no sacrifice. But I chose sacrifice because that was I think it was the unlocked option. And that may have been because I talked to Rose before doing it. But yeah.
But I guess that brings us to the end.
Well, my
of at least the main.
As far as like the storyline with Marcus, after it ends, Hillary Clinton or whoever the president is, is
she wishes.
It's showing.
I mean, from what I've heard about 2020, it's potential.
It's showing like her briefing or her press conference, and she's basically saying what happens with the androids, and I guess they took Chicago, or not Chicago, they took Detroit, and so now Detroit is an android state.
Oh wait! Say that again.
Since Marcus and and Jericho they win the war, they basically take over Detroit.
Yeah, I think that happens in mine.
Yeah, since we were pacifists, we didn't have like a seizing of territory.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember specifically what happened in our end.
It was she called it off.
Was that where?
He's saying the president. The president. Yeah. She called in the favor. She said, "Hey, not on TV."
Yeah, and that's what happened on mine too. Like I had the option to sing or kiss.
Shuck and jive.
kiss North, and I chose to kiss her. And after that happened, that was when the president's like, "Yeah, tell them to stand down."
Gotcha. Well. Is that?
There's one really good thing with that I want to bring up. So, once once Marcus activates all of the robots in Public Park or City Park, whatever that chapter is, or not too long after that, the android that greets you at the main menu of the game, there's an option to quote unquote let her go.
Oh yeah.
Did you guys all run into that?
Yeah, okay. I did. Yeah.
And yeah, if you let her go, well, this is kind of a extended story. If you let her go originally, she just wasn't there when you booted up the game. There was no more surveys, because occasionally she'd give you a survey. No more greetings. Nobody replaced her. Due to fan or public backlash, people regretted letting her go, so they patched in an option to bring back your slave, quote unquote.
Wait, say that again?
So you know the android that greets you at the main menu?
Yeah.
At some point in the game, something happens and you're given the option to let her go from the main menu. And she just doesn't appear anymore at the main menu.
So you just have
text. Have that happen. Yeah, it's just text in a white background.
Okay.
People got upset because once you let her go, she was gone, because the option was do you want to free me or whatever? So people got mad because they're like, "Oh, I thought it was cool, but I kind of miss her. Let me get her back." So they were their hand was forced to patch the game so she would essentially be back in there if you wanted to bring her back.
Dang, that's messed up.
It is messed up.
I
let her go and I didn't look back.
I don't know. So is that at the end of the game?
It was at the end of my game.
It's like 3/4.
Oh, it was at the very end of my game.
So, because I looked through the thing and I have no record of, like, I don't have a flowchart for the last chapter of this game. Because I turned it off in the credits, so I'm pretty sure it didn't save my data.
Maybe it is at the very end of the game, but
yeah, it's like once you at the end of the game, it kicks you back to the menu, and then she'll ask you those questions, or she'll ask you, can she leave or whatever, and then that's when you have the choice to free her or not.
Are we finished or are we done? Okay.
But I thought that was a really cool option they gave, but then I was extremely disappointed that they had to cave into people being like, "Oh, well, you know what?
I miss my slave."
Yes. Ostensibly.
People suck. Do we have anything else? Any other... Oh, so I had this article. I mean, we've already gone hella long, but it was plot story spoilers type deal, and they had a couple of things that were really interesting, and I just wanted to see if I could read them real quick. Hold up. Maybe this wasn't as interesting as I thought it was. Never mind, it's not as interesting as I thought it was. Oh, the only thing that none of us used the dirty bomb. Yeah. I kind of wanted to see what that was like.
I didn't know exactly where it was. Like, I think North explained it, but I couldn't remember where it was supposed to be.
It was like a fail safe. Like I read that you could, if you were like my storyline, instead of kissing her, I could have activated the dirty bomb.
Yeah, but I didn't know where like the truck was set up.
Oh yeah, I didn't know where it was set up. I get what you're saying now. Yeah, I didn't know.
But it was totally like an eye for an eye tactic type of thing, right?
Yeah, as far as I could tell, it seemed like okay, yeah, you guys want to take me out, I'm going to take you out. So it was like a fail safe for the people that were taking the pacifist route, I guess you could say, the peaceful route. Did you guys got anything else for Detroit? I had questions, but we're running long. The only thing that was weird to me was the fact that Luther was so much bigger than all the other androids, and I was wondering, like,
there was one android at Jericho that was as big as him.
There was?
Yeah.
I wonder if he might have been like a sports model or something.
Yeah, what I was wondering is, do androids have different strengths? Because
they've got to be, because we saw that one article about the athletic models, remember?
Yeah, but I would assume those are just androids in comparison to humans.
Oh, I see what you're saying, but I'd assume it would be like model cars where,
Yeah, this one is fine-tuned to be, like, better at this action or something like that.
Because we did talk about them having specific roles and stuff like that, so...
Man, those sex androids, though.
There's some pretty good articles about those ones.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, like he's so much bigger than everybody else. Like, he has to be stronger or something. Like, I don't know.
I did like him as a character.
Yeah, I liked him as a character. I liked his haircut.
Yep.
Do you have a question, Dante?
Just a really quick one.
Yeah.
I was looking, while I was going through the walkthroughs and stuff, I noticed one of the magazines or pamphlets they had was Android as President? ?
I'm glad you asked.
So, would you guys be cool with a deviant level android?
We have one.
Okay. True. But okay. So, a deviant president as Android and a non-deviant president as Android, would you be cool with either?
So I read that article, and I actually had a question around that too. So I'm glad you asked, because I guess the benefits or the pros of the regular Android president is they don't care about their popularity. They have a very high work rate. They have infinite memory. They're incorruptible, and they're indifferent to pressure. So I think I would be pro Android president if I had to choose between the two.
Man, I don't. Okay, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
I'm saying, is it like one or the other, or I can choose neither?
Would you be cool with one? Would you be cool with both? Would you be cool, like... I'm asking individually, like, are you cool with a deviant one, or are you cool with a non-deviant?
I feel like a deviant one would just be depending on where we are as a society, you know? So, like, it would only be deviant if it deviates from what the norm is. And if the norm is way worse than it is now, then maybe I would be more pro-deviant. But if the norm was, like, something I was comfortable / familiar with and, like, felt like was beneficial to society, then I would be less against a deviant one. So I think overall the safer answer is keep the status quo one over the non-status quo one.
Trevor or Greg?
I don't know. I think I would still, even if it was a deviant, I would still be worried about the what ifs, right? Like, how do we know that, like, this can't be, like, reprogrammed at any point, and, like,
it's corruptible.
Somebody do something like, yeah. Like, I guess that's the biggest thing. But I mean, is that any different than, like,
a non or a human?
Yeah, I guess that's the weird part, right? Like, I don't know. It's an interesting question when you think about it like that.
Trevor?
I mean, there's definitely benefits to it, for sure.
I would have to go with the non-deviant standard issue.
Man, can you imagine those late night bot tweets?
Go Fifi. Oh, it actually does mean something. Oh my god. That's the shutdown code. Abort. Oh, man.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm actually against the non-deviant variant just because I feel like it would have a super utilitarian thing that doesn't factor in the human aspect of circumstances. So it's literally playing it like a game, trying to min and max things like a lot of corporations would. So I think I'd be more comfortable with the deviant, even though I'm slightly wary of it.
The deviant one could turn on a dime, though. It could be like, this is how we're going. You're like, yeah. Then it's like, you know what? Actually, no, we're going to go this way. That's what I'd be scared of.
That's very true. He has his Android dumpster moment.
Yeah, basically. He's like, yeah.
But I'd be worried about a thing that just thinks of people as numbers.
That's true. That's true.
But that was it.
Okay. Well, I'm assuming we don't have any questions.
Nah.
Your janitor didn't get back to us, Trevor?
What's that?
Your boy didn't get back to us?
Nobody gets back to us.
I don't think I saw him this week. Or this past week.
He went deviant. Well, where can people reach you at, Greg?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Facebook at Boombox Hero, and on Twitch at XDRDMagnegroX.
What about you, Trevor?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Lyric Unsung.
What about you, Dante?
People can find me at twitch.tv/awakencloud. I should be streaming something in the near future, probably Red Dead. Fighting
Oh,
us.
snaps. You can find me on Instagram, Marq Dizzle, Marq_Dizzle. You can see
lots of food, lots of really good looking
lots of food. Pictures of my trip. Yeah, and I'm on Steam. I don't even remember what my name is. I think it's Marcus17, and or potato salad, one of the two, and.
It's potato salad.
It's potato salad, and I've been playing Hotline Miami 2. So I'm almost done with that. I don't know what I'm playing next. I don't normally play games.
Well, we know what our next game is.
Oh yeah,
Dead
I
Cells.
forgot. I completely forgot. Let me fix my face. Yeah, so that concludes Detroit Become Human 2, or Part 2. We are. Why did I say Part 2? That concludes Detroit Become Human. Next month of December, we are going to be covering Dante's game, Dead Cells. This is probably, it is now the most recent game we've played. So Detroit had its 1 month as being the most new game we've played. And
wait, didn't it come out on one of the consoles before everything else?
Well, the official release came out in like
August.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
August.
So yeah, it's the most recent game we've played now.
Hot off the press,
Basically.
one would say.
So, have you played it yet, Dante?
I have not.
You've been waiting?
I've been looking into it, but
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So we're all going to be coming into this fresh. I'm assuming you hadn't played it yet either, Greg?
No, there's a streamer that I watch. He plays it sometimes, so I'm kind of familiar with
What
it, but
about you,
I haven't
Trevor?
played it
What is
myself.
your familiarity?
Nope, never touched it.
All right, I'm going to ask you guys again in the beginning of the next episode. So, yeah, okay. Do you got anything else? Going once, going twice? All right, well, that concludes our discussion of Detroit Become Human. This was a long one, our bad. But we're out.
Longest game, best
That's
game.
right.
Yes, if that's the criteria, then I guess this is the best game. Thanks.
It's scientific, just like ranking
Thanks,
of
David
fighters.
Cage.
I know how to pick them.
Something like that. Well, we're out. Peace.